Hello and welcome to this Google Ads beginners course. In this course, I want to show you the basics of Google Ads combined with AI. In this first video, we will have a look at how to spot Google Ads and also see where they are displayed, okay? So for the first thing, and you will also see our example of the course in a second, I typed in dog sweaters, a random keyword, and I already see it says sponsored here. So this is sponsored. These little tabs here, these product tabs. We see sponsored here. This is simply a link, a Google ad, a search ad, a link to the official store of something, in this case, a website or a shop for dogs, and a description. Also here, so plus, also sponsored, so it's pretty obvious to see them. When we have just dog sweater, it looks different. We have still the sponsor up here, but we don't have any search ads running for that here, up there. Also on YouTube, you see Google Ads. This is, for example, a display ad. You see it says sponsored here. So always the left top picture of this home YouTube section is sponsored. And also when you're in a video, you can sometimes see these ads, these video ads, YouTube ads, which are skippable. And they're also part of YouTube, of Google Ads. And also here, where it says all for you watched, here was an ad. Let's see if we can spot that again. Click on something else. Maybe here's an ad. It says sponsored. Let's maybe have a look here. Sometimes it also here is a sponsored ad or up here, depending on the video, of course. So this is how you can easily spot Google Ads, and we will mainly focus on these little images, the display ads, but also mainly the search ads. So dog sweaters, we saw the search ads, which is just a title and some text and a button best case. But we will also have a look at display ads to dig in deeper into content and image creation. Have fun with this course. Okay, we are now in one of my test accounts that we will use in the beginning, just to guide you through the most important points when setting up your Google Ads campaign. Later on, I will show you some best practices with an actual running Google Ads account. But for now, this is Google Ads, and we will have a look by clicking on the Create button over here on the left or on New Campaign on the different objectives. Because what you do first is decide on an objective. This can be sales, leads, website traffic, app promotion, awareness, local shop visits, or you simply skip the objective and use the full manual settings. For starters, I highly recommend website traffic or awareness. And if you have your shop linked and can really also track conversions, then sales is good. But what are these things? Okay, sales means you want to have online sales. For example, you do have a product. Let's say you sell dog toys. This will also be the example of the course. And you want to simply track the amount of sales and the money that you get from this Google Ads. This can be either by smartphone purchases or by web purchases here in your browser. This doesn't matter. It's all about just the amount of money and the amount of sold products. If you want to know if the ads are doing well, so if you want to calculate if you even make a profit, we will come to that later when we have a look at some calculations, okay? So this is sales. Then we do have leads. Leads is here. And leads means you, for example, wanna collect email addresses, phone numbers, or get people for your newsletter to send them specialized product offers, or to call them and sell them maybe B2B. Also something, let's say you don't sell your dog toys to customers in a store. You don't sell, for example, one dog leash to a customer. No, you want to sell 1,000 dog leashes to one business so that they can resell them. And this would be good with leads here, because then you can simply contact the person instead of them buying straight away. So this is more for the long run, or when you do have a really expensive product or want to have long-term customers here. So you simply want to collect contact addresses first. Website traffic is probably the easiest thing, or the most well-known, because you do have some pictures, some videos maybe, or some text ads, and what you want is to get traffic. So you have a website, a YouTube channel, a blog, whatever, and you want that people simply visit your source, so your blog, your website, your web shop, whatever. It's not about conversions here, of course it is, but you don't track them that precisely. It's more about getting people on the website and then having maybe a very good web shop yourself, so that people are gonna buy anyway, okay? Or that people read also your blog articles, because this is really mainly for products. But if you want them to bring on your recipe page, or you have a FAQ they should read, then this is also good for simply overall visits of your website. Then we have app promotion, which I, to be fair, don't really use, because I don't promote apps. I mainly use Google Apps for websites. But this is if you would have an app and it's listed on the Google Play Store, you can get more installs, more engagements, and pre-registrations for your app here, okay? So if you, for example, have a game app, you can simply launch it here. We do have also awareness and consideration. This is a pre-step normally before you go for a sales or website traffic ad, because here you do have pictures, videos, and text again, but not to sell something straight away, but rather to tell people about your website or your product or your brand. So this is more about the awareness. Okay, we exist. We do have a store. We do sell dog toys. We do this and that. This is not about, hey, we have a Black Friday sale, save 20% and buy now. This is more about, hey, we exist. These are our colors. If you see this picture again, this is us. If you see this product again, this is us. You can trust us. We have testimonials. We do have a good shop. We do have good offers. So this is about awareness first, and then you would lead people to your website with a traffic ad. So normally people run an awareness ad and then create an audience out of people who saw this ad and target this audience from here that saw already this ad with a traffic or sales ad. But this is a bit too complex for now. Let's talk about this in a bit again. Then we have local shop visits and promotions. This is quite simple. If you have a local shop, then for example, a pizza place, you sell pizza, but not online, not with delivery, but only with one restaurant, then you can bring people to your restaurant by using this here. This is also good in combination with a Google My Business account. So if you have a Google My Business account, let me show you that quickly. Let's go Pizzeria Vienna. You do see here these entries, and these things are Google My Business entries. So I simply, for example, this is the first entry I see. These are, okay, these things, yes. But here I see first of all Google Maps with Google My Business. I don't see all these links first. No, I do see Google My Business, Google Maps. So this is very important. And this in combination with an ad here is perfect, because then it would say ad here and I would be listed maybe on the top spot simply by having an ad running, which gives me a big advantage because nobody clicks on more places here. Everybody just looks at the first thing. Is we do see here sponsored, so they are sponsored, and all the others down here, they don't have a choice without simply running an ad. And then, as I said, you don't need to choose an objective straight away. You can also only choose the campaign type with this thing here, but we will simply say website traffic first, and now talk in the next video about the campaign type, which is also very important, especially for the content you then need. Sometimes you only need text, sometimes pictures, sometimes even videos. Let's now also talk about the different campaign types. Most people know Google Ads from the basic search ads, which is mainly text. For example, we can type in dog toys and have a look if there is an ad. Here on, nope, not on places, we go on all. And we do see these are normal links, this is fine, but it could be also a sponsored thing here. Okay, nothing sponsored, that's fine. We will see sponsored ads more than enough later, but these links are simple search links. And if you have a new website or a new blog and someone searches for a word that fits you, for example, iced tea, you would maybe run some ads here. For example, this here is sponsored, this is with pictures, but it could be also sponsored with a basic link here. So search, get in front of high intent customers at the right time on Google search. And this is based on what they type in, so based on keywords, obviously. So if I don't have this keyword in my keyword list later, people won't see my ad. How do I decide which keywords I use? I could use every keyword, but no. It should also be a keyword that is not too crowded, because otherwise, if a lot of people, for example, want to run ads for this keyword, it gets quite expensive, because you have to bid obviously more for a high volume keyword to compete with other companies than for a random keyword, iced tea for 2026 in Vienna. This is a random keyword. Nobody will run ads for that, or at least not for this specific one. You do see some ads here because we have iced tea Vienna, for example. This could be a keyword someone used already, but we talk about keywords later. So the more precise the keyword is, the better, and mainly also less expensive. Search ads. We do have performance max ads. Reach audiences across all Google with a single campaign, which means that we also have ads on YouTube, for example. Let's go on YouTube quickly. You do see always in the beginning, here on the left side is a sponsored video or picture. It says sponsored here, and this looks like a normal video. So when I go through all these videos here, it looks like a normal video. And if it has a good thumbnail, I might click on it. Or we look for dog toys and we see this is sponsored. This is a video, sponsored video. So Performance Max means also Gmail, also all the other Google tools, we will see that later. It reaches the audience across all Google channels, but for that you also need pictures or videos, okay? And they need way more money than a search ad because you have so many different things. So you need a bit more budget to really have success with Performance Max ads. While here, it's enough to have barely any pictures. You don't need a single picture, actually. You just need text to run a search campaign. So this is the easy way. Performance Max is like an add-on for a search campaign. We do have demand gen, Drive demand and conversions on YouTube, Discover, and Gmail with images and video. So when we have a video here, let's go on this, for example. Let's say we have a video. We also have sponsored ads here, for example. So also this is a thing. This is now still YouTube, but we also have Discover and Gmail. So demand gen is also possible if you don't want to have it on Google search, but on demand, like on Discover, Gmail, on YouTube. Performance Max would split it up on all different channels. So this is like the premium way because it really touches every channel if you do a good job. We do have displays. Reach customers across the 3 million sites and apps with engaging creatives. So if you, for example, look for dog toys and you do see, or let's say dog, and you do see a website here, sometimes there is some sponsored content here around. We had one here. We had it here, where is it? For example, this. This is a sponsored ad, or these things here. They are sponsored and they show up also here, also down here, these banners. This is all sponsored Google Ads content that shows up and you can click on that as a customer. And this is based on my Google behavior. So if I look for example, groceries in this case, or for shopping, Zalando, for shoes, then I get these ads here. New ads, so a lot of different ads get shown here, and this is a so-called display ad. We do have shopping ads. We saw also that. Shopping ads here. Sponsored products. So if you have an online shop and you do have products, you can list them with a shopping ad, and this would be this here. So here I click on that, I reach the product page, not the shop, but straight away the product itself, and I can buy it straight away. Shopping, also all these things are kind of in Performance Max combined. So this is a combination of everything, basically. That is why it needs a bit more budget to be really efficient here. And we do have the last one. This is video. So you would link your YouTube channel to your Google Ads account here, and then you can reach viewers on YouTube and get conversions. So whenever you see a video, let's do YouTube again. And let's say I click on, I don't know, this video here or this video here. Yeah, I sometimes have ads. This is an ad. It says sponsored. And sometimes you have also ads in between the video. Some are skippable after 5 seconds, others only after 15 seconds. This, for example, I can skip. It's 15 seconds long. And we have a look at the second one. Now I can skip it. Okay, the second one was skippable. That's fine. So these are video ads. So you can either run ads for your shop, for example, as a video, or you use existing videos you do have. Like I could use my existing finance videos I do have and promote them. So I can run ads for them, that people see them and that I get more clicks. Normally people use YouTube ads to bring people on their web shop because they're too expensive to simply gain clicks on YouTube. But if I want to grow my channel, this would also be the way. We will mainly have a look at search and Performance Max / display ads. Okay, this will mainly be our topic because you can simply do everything with these two. Search, as you should always have, and on top of that, either Performance Max or one of the others. But this is a given. So we start with website traffic and with a search ad. Okay, in order to run Google Ads now, we will have an example website. I'm not cooperating in any way with this website. I don't even know I make a video about them now, but I just looked for a dog toy web shop. In this case, we use the foggydog.com. just as a practice, just to know, okay, we will do pictures like that, we will make dog toys like that and try to sell them, or at least make an ad for them. Also the creatives I will make, so the pictures I will make for this shop. So just that we have an example, because I'm not owning a dog toy shop, but it's a product everybody can at least see and touch. Everybody knows a dog or knows how dog toys look like. So this is an easy example we will use for this course, okay? Dog toys, we will talk about that in a second. Okay, let's now start with setting up your first campaign. Therefore, we have the objective, website traffic, and the campaign type search, because this is a first easy combination. Now, since we want to have here traffic, we also need to add our website. Let's say we want to have app promotion, then you would have other things to input here. For example, what you want to have, app installs or engagement for Android or iOS. So you need to do that. For awareness, you don't need any website. For local shop visits, you need again a URL. And also for website traffic search, we need a URL. So I simply take our test website here, https www.thefoggydog.com, and I copy that in here and then click on continue. The link is also important for the AI help of Google Ads later, because with that you find proper keywords and it even creates pictures, which is nice. And when you input the website, it also gives you traffic conversion goals here. So this would be, for example, page views. If we put in the shop page here, like in this case, the collection page, then it would give us other recommendations. So page view, we'd simply click on that if we want to have that. Give the campaign a name, for example, dog toys traffic search, because this tells us the campaign type and the objective goal. Then we have turn on enhanced conversions for your account. Turn on enhanced conversions, please read through that. It's basically it basically improves your performance a bit if you agree with that. And then you click on further or on next, and what you can see is the basic current flow of a Google Ads campaign. So we start with the bidding. You have the campaign settings, you have keywords and asset generation, keywords and ads itself, budget and the review. In bidding at first, we decide on what we want to focus on. Do we want to have conversions, clicks, or impressions? Since we want to optimize right now for traffic, clicks makes a lot of sense. So we just want people to visit our page. It's not already about sales, it's about website clicks, okay? And later we will see, based on keywords, how much we will probably spend per click, because different keywords have a different expense, so to say. For example, the word dog is more expensive, more competitive than dog toys for winter 2027, because it's a longer keyword. So some keywords are just more competitive and expensive. And then it kind of makes sense to have a maximum CPC bid here, for example, of 20 cents. Okay, 20 cents. But this you can also skip for now and go back here later if you see your current CPC bid anyway. So we just leave it out for now and just see the recommendation later, or the forecast, and then we can still go back here and make it a bit smaller, the maximum cost per click. You can also have here customer acquisition, bid for new customers only. So this limits your audience to new customers only. You could click on that. The thing is that you at least need 1,000 active members in one network. So again here, please fill out everything and then maybe come back for that. If you already ran ads, then it also makes sense, because then here Google knows, okay, these are existing customers. They already bought something or visited you. Then you can say, all right, here, I don't want to target them. I just want to target new people. If you don't have 1,000 active members in at least one network, you can say define existing customer list and simply create an audience here. Okay, so existing customer list would be, I don't know, people who have been interested in my business in the last recent time. This would be possible. We skip it for now. We go back here later, because then this actually, the bidding section here, makes more sense. This is tab 1 out of 6 right now. So we have 5 more, including the review. We click on next for now. We just chose clicks here. And then we also have the network. We do see network, location, languages, audience segments, and also keywords. It's getting more and more technical, but the network itself isn't really hard to understand, because the networks is where your ads are going to be displayed. Google Search Partners Network. Ads can appear near Google search results and other Google sites when people search for terms that are relevant for your keyword. And that is what we see here. So if someone looks for dog toys, we see sponsored. This is a sponsored ad from Timo, dog toys up to 90% off. We see Zooplus with online shop for animals. They have a sponsored ad. So this is what we want to have with a basic Google search ad. We also have Google Display Network, and that means that our ads can appear on relevant sites, videos, and apps across Google, also YouTube, and the internet when you have leftover search budget. So when not all the budget will be spent on these search ads here, it might be possible that when we have a video on YouTube, let's say we have, I don't know, this video here, okay, that there is, for example, like this, a sponsored section with our search ad. Doesn't even need to include a picture. Sometimes it does. This here is, whoops, we go back. We see it here. This is a text ad. We see the more button. This is sponsored. We have a small picture, more button, and a text. This here is a longer display banner. We have only, it says Black Friday, and a button. So it might be that when we don't spend all the budget for the search ad itself, that we also get placed here. And this totally makes sense, because obviously we want to spend all the budget we plan for that, we estimate with. And if it works, so if it works that our text ad or search ad is next to video, why not? Let's really Google have its fun with your money. They know what they're doing. They have so much insight, so they don't place your ad in weird places if it doesn't work. Okay, so this is the start. Network I have both on. And we will now talk about the locations. That seems also quite easy, but there's a bit more thinking behind it actually. Okay, the next thing is the location here. So we want our ads to be displayed, obviously as a Google search result, but not in every country. So even now I type in English, I am in Austria, so in Europe and mid-Europe. So these ads here For example, this one, even though I typed in an English word, is in German because I am sitting in Austria, in a German-speaking country. So Plus has this as a keyword for their ad, for their German ad. And Timo, even though this is an English text, they have this keyword for their ad, but also as a location, Austria. So whoever set up this ad either said all countries and territories. This might be the reason or the way for Timo. But so Plus, since this is a German text ad, for sure said we maybe use some English keywords, but we have Austria and maybe even by enter another location. Like we have only German-speaking country in the target audience. So we only target people who live or visit these countries, which means you can say I make this very broad. I have a product or a video everybody can watch, a product everybody can buy. So I say all countries and territories. For a web shop, this doesn't make any sense if you don't ship to every country. And we do have this example. This is a .com shop. And let's check actually what happened if we add that to cart and check out. I never did that for the shop. Okay, we see they only delivered to Canada and the United States right now. So when I set up here this ad for them, I would say not all countries and obviously not for me in Austria, but another location, I say Canada as a country. This is a reach of 37 million people. And either US or United States, exactly United States, with 300 million people reach. And here I also simply include them. We have the advanced search. By clicking on that, you see what's covered. So now I can show you that. Let's say we have nothing here. Then nothing is blue. And now I include Canada. I can say include, exclude, or nearby. Nearby would mean all these things, so Canada, but also target locates nearby Canada. So this is, for example, Quebec province, Ontario, and I can include all of them if I want to have it more specific. In my case, I just say include Canada. That is all I need. So now Canada is included. And the United States, I can also include. What I could do now is saying Toronto as a city in Canada, because maybe I want to exclude Toronto. And now you see, this is red. Everything else in Canada is blue. Because maybe currently we have no stock for Toronto, or currently we see that people from Toronto are not buying, or they get specialized ads. So I run one ad for all Canada and United States without Toronto, and then a second search ad only for Toronto. I can also only use cities. For example, I say only New York. New York States, I include that. In this case, it's obviously already included because I had United States already here. But I could also only include New York. So only also for specific cities, which is a bit more important later for the local, so the really restaurant ads, for example. If you have online shipping all in the US, it doesn't really matter. Add locations in a bulk. So you can also tap this here and then simply put in a postcode or say country if you can't find it, or a city. So you can simply enter one location per line and then add this with a search. For example, Vienna. I click on search and then we see, okay, Vienna, Austria, there's a match. I can now target this or target all. If you get a few results. For example, Austria, or let's do Vienna and Graz, 2 cities in Austria. Click on search. Now I have 2. I can say I target this and exclude that. I target Vienna, exclude Graz, or I target both, or I'll exclude both. So this is also a more advanced way to look for certain, in this case, maybe not countries, but postcodes. Another thing that might be interesting is the thing with radius. So now we have the location. We can switch to radius to say we take maybe, now we also add Mexico City in Mexico. Okay, this is here. And we add a radius. So now it's a 20-mile radius. I will do this in kilometers because I only know measuring in kilometers. And I say 100 kilometers around Mexico City. This is the bigger circle. That's fine for me. I exclude the 20 miles. So this would be 100 kilometers around Mexico City. If you want to have it very specific. Or you type in a very specific postcode in Vienna, for example. This would be this here. So a very specific place. We include that, for example, and then you could also work with radius. We say maybe Berlin. Berlin, a place in Vienna, Berlin Kebab Centrum. It's a food place. Let's try that here. So Berlin Kebab in Vienna. And we include it with a 10-kilometer radius. So very, very small. And this is super small. And this is what we will later also use for the local ads. If you have a restaurant, then you would say, okay, 20 kilometers around my restaurant. And this is actually kind of easy. Okay, I get rid of all of this. We have Canada and the United States, quite simple. And we are good with that. This would best case include 337.5 million people. Obviously, by using keywords and using an audience, it will get way smaller, but this is it for now. Important is this button, the location options, with who to include. Because we have presence, people in or regularly in your included location, which in our case means people who are regularly in Canada or the United States. This is what I want because I ship to them, so obviously they need to be here and maybe even live here. That would be the best case. The other thing would be presence or interest. People in, regularly in, or who've shown interest in your included locations. I don't think that this is good, even though it's recommended. I would always go with presence. Because let's say I'm from Europe, okay? And I want to go for vacation in Canada. Then I would obviously search a lot about Canada. I would read about Canada. I would look up flights. I would look up Canada sightseeing and all of that. And this data that I'm looking about Canada would be collected by Google. Maybe even Canada Airbnb or Canada Homes, whatever. And then I would probably be categorized by Google into this category because I show interest in the location. But I'm still living in Europe, so I can't get any packages from this web shop because they're only shipping to Canada and the United States. So please, if you want to sell something and you're limited to shipping, use presence here. Everything else doesn't make sense. Okay, this was the location. In the next video, we briefly talk about the language. Let's now talk about the language settings. Language should be an easy point, but actually it is quite crucial to understand. Because you have English as a given language if your browser is English. So the language you input here is based on the Google browser or overall the Google settings. So if people have their Google account on English, then English is the language they're having here. Even though I am from a German-speaking country, I do have my Google settings here in English, which means if I would only input here German and no English, I wouldn't probably see the ad even if it's my audience segment and my location. In this case, we have Canada and the United States. Let's therefore check out the shop itself. So we do have no other language as I see. No, it seems like they only have English as a language. So I would input English here for sure. But what about people who live in the United States or Canada and would buy this product, but they have their browser in German, French, Italian, or Spanish? So what you could do is include them. The only issue could be that, let's say, a person who speaks only Italian and lives in the United States doesn't speak English yet. Then this person would see the ad, but couldn't even read it. But that is rather a thing that I don't think that it happened too often. So let's make another example. We have Austria as a location, so a German-speaking country, and then obviously German as a language. But in this case, I also always include English, because English is the language overall in the world. So in every country, you can communicate in English, or at least in most countries. So I always include English. Let's say you have an ad for South America, then even though they speak maybe Portuguese in Brazil, always include Spanish and English. Always include them. It's just better, you have a broader audience and you don't lose people because you don't include their language. Okay, but now for our case, English is fine enough because we only have English-speaking countries and our website doesn't even have a second language here we could switch to. So there's no Italian, no French, no German. So I don't want to risk people not being able to understand our website because they only speak German. So that's for now. Otherwise, I could include all languages. Would also be possible in this case, but that would be a bit of a waste of time and we probably lose only 1% of our audience by this. Based on your target locations, you may want also to add these languages. And that is a good hint because I forgot that in Canada, there is also French, a lot of French. So I could add French here. Again, not sure if it makes sense in our case because there is only English on the website. So I can't switch on French here, even though they ship to Canada, but let's just include it. If a French person sees our dog toy ad in English, they probably wouldn't even click if they are not able to understand English. So English and French in our case makes a lot of sense. We will have a look at the audience in the next video. And what's important here is this right tab. And therefore I click on this button to see the weekly estimate. This is the weekly clicks and the average cost per clicks for every click, and then overall the cost per week based on everything we so far did. Because right now we have an audience of 337 million people. But if we, by just having some hobbies or some interests as an audience segment, we will decrease the number of people who might even see our ad, okay? So we can not only do that by using keywords, but also by inputting interest and more, and this will have also an impact, included the keywords later. This will also have an impact on our average CPC, but more about that when we are done with the keywords. Then you will see how this really affects the price. And now we talk about the audience segment. So we click here on audience segment, and we do see that there is not much going on. What you can do is search for things like, in our case, it's about dogs, so animal, for example. And then you see different results. So here we have what their interests and habits are. And here we have one, which is pet lover. We can include that. And we also have another category, what they're actively researching or planning. Pet supplies, we also include that. We can look for other things like dog. We have toys, that's good. Let's include toys only for the keyword. We have pet lover, but also dog lover. Let's exclude pet lover again and only include dog lover. Let's look for toy or toys. Okay, nothing that we can use actually. Then let's simply, we can also use a new segment if we want that. Wait, give me a second, I go back. So let's say we don't find anything more for search, then we can do two things. Either we browse or we click on new segment. And new segment means you maybe already have a newsletter list. So you have a list of email addresses, or you have your page with Google Analytics connected, or you have a YouTube channel and YouTube users, then you can simply connect that. For example, whenever I run ads, I upload different lists, for example, our B2C, so our customer newsletter list. We had an Christmas giveaway, and there we have about 1,000 email addresses. So I upload all of these lists, because when people have a Google account with this email address and they are on Google active, obviously, then they are then part of our audience, and that is quite useful. Google Analytics, here you would need to connect your Google Analytics for property, and YouTube, you would simply connect your YouTube with the account you have here. So in my case, it would use the audience from my finance accounts that is linked with this Google Ads account, okay? So new segment, very important. Please do so. I am not doing that now because it's only a test account and I don't have access to the Google Analytics 4 of their website, obviously. But this is something you should definitely do, especially Google Analytics and customer lists if we have already, for example, a newsletter. Then third thing, we browse. So we have demographics, we have interests and habits, we have researching and planning, and we have some interactions with my business and also combined segments. Demographics means parental status, if they're, for example, parents, if they're married, what kind of education they have, if they own a house, and if they are employed, and if so, in what company, in what industry or company size. Not important for us with dogs. But we have now affinity, so habits and interests. And here we have maybe home and garden. We can click on that. We have do-it-yourself and home decor. No, that doesn't help. Lifestyle and hobbies. Doesn't help no, doesn't help either. Pet lovers. And you can always hover over the word. Then you see weekly impressions. It doesn't even show. But it's top related to dog lovers and cat lovers. And top YouTube categories, it says it's cats, adventure games, and metal music. Okay, that's interesting to know actually. When we go on dog lovers, we see top related is swimming, motorcycle and family television fans. Oh wow, okay, that's a nice connection. So maybe we can check also the other categories. And on YouTube, it's hard rock, metal music, and country music. Okay, that's actually interesting to see. We do have media entertainment. Also that not important for dog in our case, but the category shoppers should be good. So here we have shopping enthusiasts. This is more for wallets, handbags, fashion overall, but let's just include it. And no, actually let's include value shoppers. If we have a discount, let's say we know we will use this search ad for a 20% discount or 50% discount even, then this could really attract value shoppers. If it's just a general ad for my dog toys with only traffic, then this doesn't make too much sense. So here just use a few different things. It doesn't need to be too much because most of the targeting works anyway with the keywords. That's the big difference between Facebook and Google Ads, I would say. Sports, no. Technology, no. Travel, no. Maybe travel, no. Here, luxury, nope, we don't need that. And vehicles, no, doesn't even need to be. No, that's okay. So we have toys, pet supplies, and dog lovers, more than enough. Important is now that you have targeting, which means that my campaign is only limited to the selected segments, only limited to people in these categories. Or we have observation. So this means Google will first target these segments, but it's not narrowed down to these three. So when Google sees, okay, people who actually are dog or cat lovers also buy dog toys for whatever reason, then also they get targeted, even though I don't have that in my list, okay? So use observation, it's a bit broader, and as I said, the most targeting will happen anyway through the keywords and asset generation. So that's that. For some campaigns, you can use broad match keywords. This is something I will explain later a bit more, but for this it's actually not even possible to look for anything or to choose here anything, so we can skip that. The last thing we will do now on this page is the settings here. We have more settings that gives us a broad range of even further options. Okay, the last thing here for my campaign settings is the button that says more settings. So we can even adapt our ad further here by, for example, using the ad rotation. So when you have a few different ads later, I obviously want to prefer the best performing ads, or I do not want that this is gonna be optimized. For example, I will have 5 different text ads, and normally Google would simply work with the best performing ones. But if I say do not optimize, then all of them get the same budget. Doesn't make any sense. Please use your optimize. Google knows what they do, so please let Google handle that for you. Optimize so that the best performing ads get the most attention. What else? Start and end dates. Here you would add your start date. For example, we want to start with this campaign in 1 week, 18th of November. And I always select an end date. Why? A good friend of mine once said, you don't need an end date, but let's say you're the only one responsible for this ad, you're the only one knowing that this ad is running. And now you break a leg or have a car crash and nothing terrible happens to you, but you're out for 2 months, okay? Because you, hit your head or you broke your leg and you can't go to work for 2 weeks or even 2 months, who knows? And this ad keeps running and maybe it's not performing well. And then you're back in the office after 2 months and you're like, oh shit, I spent I don't know, $100, €100 per day on this ad, and it wasn't even performing well. I overspent my budget because actually it was only planned to run this ad for 3 weeks. So I overspent and it didn't even work because I didn't make a profit. It didn't sell anything. I didn't reach my goal. So actually I would have turned them off after 2 weeks maybe, but now they ran for 2 months. That's why I always have an end date for at about 3 weeks. I can stop them obviously earlier, and I can also say, okay, let's do it a bit longer, but I always have an end date. Because even if I forget about them, they just end after 3 weeks. Okay, so end date, it's important for me. It's not a must, but I like to have one. Ads schedule is really, really precise. I'm not using it because I never work with products where this is important. But let's say you have a product or a website specifically for a time or a day in the week. So you have an ad that is only for Mondays. Then you can say, here, my ad for the ad schedule should only run Mondays from midnight to midnight, so Monday morning to obviously Monday midnight, so nearly Tuesday. Or you say it should run all day, but only in the morning from 5 to maybe 11 a.m. Why? Because it's about morning coffee or whatever. This I could do. I can always say only Saturday, and I add here Sunday, so only on the weekend. This is something that would make sense. Or I say Monday to Fridays, Saturday, Sunday. So I can also say weekdays from 6 to midnight, from 6 on to midnight, but not during the night. Actually, I don't mind this at all. Why? Because as long as it works, I don't care. If there are people shopping for dog toys at 2 a.m. and they still click on my ad and buy something, I don't care. As long as my ad works, I don't need an ad schedule. Only if it's very specific, as I said, morning coffee, or it's something that only makes sense for the weekend, do so, but I really don't care about that. So I don't need an ads schedule. What else do we have here? Campaign URL options. Here we could use parameters, which is very advanced, so we are not talking about it now. It's a beginner's course. This is too much for now. But you can create a tracking template and use an URL suffix with a parameter and a value. For example, product name 1 has a value of 10 euros, product 2 has a value of 5 euros. This, we could do that. I'm not doing that. It's never important, only if you maybe work with conversions, but especially for a traffic ad, it is not important. And then we have brands. So you could exclude brands. Your ads won't show on searches that mention selected brands or related products and services. Let's say we have dog toys here, and you have a competitor or another brand that sounds like you. For example, here we have the foggydog.com, and we have another brand that is basically stealing my stuff that is called the Fog Dog. Also without one letter is missing, one character is missing. And I don't want to be displayed next to them. So I would say the Fog Dog, and I would simply look for that if this is already in a list, or I simply create a new list that is excluded companies. Let's call them like that. And then I say Fog Dog, or I don't know, let's say Zalando. Let's just take a brand. And then if the brand exists, you see it here and you can select all of them. For example, now Zalando.com, I don't want to be, or my ads shouldn't be shown next to them. Or when someone looks for dog toy Zalando, my ads shouldn't be visible. And then I simply save that. This is a brand list now. It's called excluded companies. I can look for that, and this only have as Zalando now, so I want to exclude maybe a company. Also that I don't need it very often, so I'm not using it right now. And we are done for this page. So I click on next to use the keyword and asset generation and work a bit with keywords overall. Let's now talk about keywords. In the following videos, we will really set up our keywords for the search ad. But first of all, we should talk about how this actually works. Because we have three categories of keywords. We have the broad match, the phrase match, and the exact match. And I will give you examples in a second, but the broad match is basically the word itself or the sentence itself. For example, dog toys for 2026. That would be a broad match. And it can be combined in any combination. For example, dog toys would be already in it, so it would be an exact but also broad match. It's in this sentence. Or 2026 dog toys would be a broad match because both or all these words are in the sentence itself. Or just dog, also inside here, would be a fit. Phrase match means that this phrase should be used as we have it here. For example, dog toys 2026 stays dog toys 2026. And then we have the exact match. For example, we don't want to have toys dog, but only dog toys in that combination. So we would say in these brackets, dog toys, which means that toys dog wouldn't be an exact match, so wouldn't be visible. Okay, so this maybe makes more sense. The keyword is blue scarf. And we have blue scarf for woman, which means the keyword is the beginning. And then we have as an add-on for woman. So it's not an exact match because it's not only blue scarf, but it's a phrase match because blue scarf in that order is in here, but then an add-on for women, phrase match. But also broad match because it's simply a combination of blue scarf and women. Scarf in blue color. This is now not a phrase match, but only a broad match. Why? Because we have blue and scarf, but not in this way, not in the way blue scarf or scarf blue. So they are not together, but we have a word in between, scarf in blue. Okay? So this is not a phrase match and of course, obviously not an exact match, but it is a broad match. So exact match means it's exactly that word or a multiple of it. And this here is obviously not exactly the word because there's an add-on in between. Blue scarves, that's a broad match, phrase match, and exact match. So whenever it's an exact match, it's also all the others. Because this is the keyword we had here, but as a multiple, that's also an exact match. Same here, we have blue scarf, broad, phrase, and exact match because it's exactly the keyword we have here. And we would now use these brackets to mark it as a broad match so that we only want this exact match as a keyword. A phrase match is with these thingies on top, broad match without anything, an exact match with brackets. Blue muffler, it's none of them because this has one part of this keyword in blue, yeah, but not the scarf. And since the full keyword is not in the sentence or word, it's none of the things here. So when we have blue scarf and someone would type in blue muffler, this person wouldn't find our ad because we don't have blue muffler as a separate keyword. Okay, and by blue headscarf, we have by blue scarf. That would be a phrase and a broad match because we would have had blue scarf. But since it says headscarf, it's not the word scarf, it's a new word. So again, not even a broad match because it doesn't include the word scarf. It kind of does, but only inside of a new word. If we would separate these words, we would have by blue hat, then a gap, and then scarf. Then it would be a broad match because then we would have blue scarf with a word in between the head, just like we have it here. Scarf blue, scarf in blue, broad match, but not a phrase match. I hope that makes sense. It's mainly important when you don't want to have specific combinations. As I said, we maybe want to have dog toys, but not toys dog. Then we would use an exact match, dog toys in brackets, because then it can't be combined and the other way around, toys dog, that wouldn't work. That would be a phrase match then. Or dog in toys, for example, doesn't make sense, but for example, dog in toys would be a phrase match, or we could use it as a phrase match, but it wouldn't be an exact match. Let's talk about that now in practice, and let's simply get some keywords for our dog toy ad. Okay, we are on the next page here, which is keyword and asset generation. It's a beta tool with AI, and it helps us to give us proper keywords for our ad based on the final URL. We can also skip that if we don't want the help. We just use it for now, and I input here the URL. It can also be the final one. For example, if you only want to promote the shop, we could also say that we want to have this as a final URL, because based on that, we get a text generated, and based on this text, which I will adapt with ChatGPT, we will get keywords. Okay, you see, it doesn't create a text automatically for this page, so most of the time only for the home page itself. So I simply take the URL and tell ChatGPT, give me information about my website, the foggy dog. Let's see what ChatGPT has for us here by simply browsing. As you see, we get a short text. And now I say, combine with this text. So I also have the text that is written by Google AI automatically based on the final URL. So if this text wouldn't be enough, I could combine now. As I see actually that the text here is quite detailed, so I just take that because that's quite nice. Sometimes it's very just 2 sentences, then you use ChatGPT or Google, but in this case it helps. We have information about the products, about discount codes which are currently visible, and so on and so on. Also the target audience, which is very good. And then I click on generate keywords. Perfect. Because based on that, I now get my keywords. Okay, and now we see the keywords in here. That's the first thing. Final URL. We see the products and service to advertise that got automatically added. If you want to add something else here, for example, dog toy, dog toys, we can easily do that and update the keyword suggestions. But these are the keywords we got now from Google. Let's simply copy them for a second and click on update and replace. Maybe we get a bit more by using dog toy and dog toys. So other services, but no, that's about it. Okay. And from now on, since we added keywords, we see for this ad group, so for this ad itself, we can add other ad groups later, the weekly clicks, the average CPC, and the weekly costs. So right now with 250 euros per week divided by 7, give me a second, 250 by 7 is 36 euros per day or $40 per day. We would get about 3,400 clicks because one click costs us about 7 cents. Click doesn't mean a lot. It doesn't mean that people stay on our website. It just means, okay, it's rather cheap, but search ads are anyway rather cheap. If we add expensive keywords like dog, toy, and dog toys, this might get a bit higher later, okay? Or dog itself. This would make it a bit higher probably. We'll see in a second. Okay, but it's fine now. Dog web shop, dog toys discounts, buy dog toys. So I add some keywords I think are good. This is based on my keyword research. We will talk about the topic keyword research in a bit in more detail in a separate module. As you see, dog toys discount and buy dog toys made it a bit more expensive, 1 cent more expensive, which gives us about 300 clicks less. So this should really pay off these keywords. Otherwise, we should make it cheaper by deleting expensive keywords. How do I know if keywords are expensive? By simply checking the Google Keyword Planner. As I said, that's a topic we discuss later in more detail. And I told you about keywords we could use, for example, an exact match. Then buy dog toys could only be used in this order. And this, as you see, would make it super expensive. So the broader your keywords are, the cheaper your ad is. The more exact matches you use, that's just an assumption. It's normally correct depending on your topic. The more exact matches you have, and it's also written down here, the more expensive it is. If we use that as a phrase match, so it could also say buy the dog toys or toys by dog would also work. It's getting even more expensive, which is a bit weird, but there's more combinations just going on. So I would say we get rid of that and use only broad match here. Dog web shop I delete 8 cents, maybe here we have dog toy already. Okay, dog toy. What would happen if we use that as an exact match and maybe dog products online as a phrase match? Then this would get more expensive, yes, 11 cents. So I have a very general store with a broad target audience, so only exact match is fine. If you have a keyword that is really not allowed to be combined, for example, there's a brand that is called dog outfits. Let's say this is also a brand name. Then you would obviously exclude that with a minus. This is also possible. Or simply use these things because maybe dog outfits is okay, but outfits dog is a brand name. Then you would really need to say dog outfits is now an exact match, because then it can't be combined the other way around. Outfits dog wouldn't work, okay? So this is again an important thing. For now, this is fine. 8 cents, that's kind of okay. We'll maybe add some keywords later when we have more information about the keyword planner or from the keyword planner. But that's it for now. That's this good collection of keywords. I liked it. And then we talk about the ad itself. In this case, it's mainly text, but in some cases, like we see later, it's also pictures or videos included. Since we already used the keyword and asset generation tool here by putting in a URL, which was the URL for the shop for our website, and then also adding some information, we already got some keywords, and based on them, we have here the weekly estimated clicks and costs, which is quite nice. And we also, by clicking now on ads, have this filled out: the URL, the headline, and the description. So this normally is empty if you don't use this AI keyword generation generator. Since we already used it, let's just simply talk about it. So these are headlines, and for a search ad, we can use up to 15 different headlines. The most important thing here is that you don't tell ChatGPT, give me 15 Google ad headlines for this shop. Like this, you shouldn't do that, because then you get proper long headlines, okay? Stylish pet gear for dogs who deserve the best. Eco-friendly dog products designed with love. Shop trendy dog colors, leashes, and more. So this would make sense if you use them one by one. But what Google is doing, and we also see it here in the preview, that these headlines are combined. For example, we have cozy jackets, or let's stop this for a second. We have high quality products. This is a keyword here, or a headline here, high quality products. And then we have shop new arrivals. And this is another headline, shop new arrivals. So what Google does is it combines a few different headlines. Up to 3 different headlines get combined here. So if all of them have your website name or the product in the headline, then it just doesn't look good. Imagine having all of them combined: handmade dog products, unleash style with our unique dog accessories, treat your pup to luxury. That doesn't make any sense. This is why you have to tell ChatGPT or the other AI tool you use for headlines to make them shorter, max of 30 characters. This is the first thing we need to know for headlines. We only have 30 characters required, and we need at least 3 headlines, okay? So now they're shorter. Make them combinable. Google Ads will combine some of them. Make them work also if they get combined as one title or headline, okay? Because if all of these headlines tell the same thing, maybe the 20% discount, or tell all the same product, whatever, then it wouldn't look good. We have now stylish dog gear for every pup, eco-friendly pet products online, luxury accessories for dogs. This is a bit more combinable. If you now have, for example, free shipping, or like here, free standard shipping on order 100 USD with code FREESHIP, I would also mention this, but only once, because if these things get combined, it wouldn't look good. Another thing you need to know is that you can also tell Google the position. So now it gets combined randomly, however it fits, also based on clicks. Let's see what the next one is. cozy jackets, gifts for dogs, for your dog. This is also a good combination. Let's see the next one, dog products online, gifts for your dog. Also this, quite nice. Let's say you have a headline and it's your brand name and you for sure only want it on a fixed position. For example, here, shop the foggy dog sale. We can click on the pin and say either randomly position 1, 2 or 3, or only position 1, only position 2, or only position 3. I only want this one here on position 1. So whenever it gets mixed, it can only be, like here, on position 1. Shop the foggy dog sale, shop the holiday collection. Shop the holiday collection. This doesn't look nice together, so this also goes on 1, because now they can't get combined together. Shop the foggy dog sale, cozy jackets, that makes sense. So maybe I want cozy jackets always on number 2. Gifts for your dog always on number 3, maybe. So this is also based on what I need or whatever I feel most fitting. Normally they are all combinable, but for example, your name or your brand name, this does only go well on a certain position. Okay, so this you can do. I won't do it now because I don't care too much about it because it all looks good together. But if it is important to you, I would highly recommend. We also see that we have, based on keywords, here's some recommendations. Dog outfits, for example. And Google says I should include that. Dog accessories and outfits, maybe. I could include that here somehow. Now it's included. And now I could also the froggy dog colors, include that somewhere if I really want to get a better optimization score. Optimization score, that is important because Google obviously wants to run good ads. If your ad is not good and has a bad ad strength score, a bad optimization score, it might make your ad a bit more expensive because you have lower quality and need to pay a bit more so that Google shows you. So the higher your score, the better optimized, and normally also the cheaper and the better the performance. That's everything about the headlines. You can use up to 15, and I would also highly recommend if you have a lot to communicate. Let's continue with the ad description. Here you can add up to 4 different descriptions. We can also see it here. This would be, for example, this 2 sentences. Choose from our wide selection of dog clothes, beds, toys, treats, and more. The Foggy Dog provides stylish and durable dog accessories. This text is based on the link you provided Google, but also based on the text, so the information you gave Google here in keyword and asset generation about your company. Let's go back to the ad itself. We do have 4 descriptions already here because of the AI tool. If you do it with another AI tool or yourself, bear in mind that you can only use up to 90 characters. And also these things here can be combined. So if they're only 1 sentence long, like here, choose from our wide selection of dog clothes and more. You saw these 2 descriptions got combined. If you, again, want to have one at, for example, only position 2 or only position 1, you can tell that here. Otherwise, it can add up to 2 different descriptions. If you're not happy with the descriptions, ask, for example, ChatGPT. Give me 2 short Google Ads descriptions for that ad. Max 90 characters. And as you see, that's actually also fine. We do have a call to action, free shipping or shop now. So we could also use that here as a second positioning description. That would also work perfectly fine. You can also click on View Ideas to get more ideas from Google. You got some suggested based on the final URL. We will talk about that also in a second. Or based on the recent assets, so the recent, for example, the recent keywords, the recent ad titles, and so on and so on. And we have up to 18 different here to also go through. This is the description. Very important because you can communicate even further information, but we also see some buttons down here that link, for example, here is a dog set or solids collection or even more. So this is also part of the description, but it's called a site link. And we talk about that in a second. Just be aware that the description here is very important for clicks, and you should really have a call to action here. So I would even improve this description here by saying here, this is position 2, shop the foggy dog for the best, or shop now for the best dog products online. This, for example, could also be on or always be on position 2 and has a call to action. So I would improve the descriptions by doing that. The final URL up here is actually quite simple, and also the display path, but it's important. Why? The URL is where you bring the people. So if this is my URL, then people who click on my search ad go to this page. So they will see this nice page, looks pretty good. But I can also say they should go directly to the shop. So shop here and directly on toys on this subcategory. So they land directly here. This is now the final URL, directly the shop. But maybe, and we do see it here, we have a weird link. It doesn't say /shop. It says /collections/dog toys. And collections always means this is a Shopify store because Shopify works with collections. That's fine. But it doesn't look very pretty if I have here /collections/dog toys, because this is the path people then actually see. You see in the preview up here, it says www.thefoggydog.com/collections/dog toys. That's a bit long, especially on the phone. And we can also check always for the laptop by switching here the preview. Also here it's a bit long. So what I will do is have the final URL here like it actually is, but the display path says either shop/shop or nothing. In this case, shop is fine, but I could also say just let it be. We don't even use here any other path. We only have the, let's say, basic URL without anything in the back, without any other page linked here, at least visibly linked. Because when people click, they still go to or get redirected to the shop, to the collection site, but it doesn't say on the display path. And that is something very useful because if this is too full, it doesn't look nice. We already had a look at these little buttons here. It now says solids collection and signature flannels. Now it says also personalized gifts and so on and so on. These add-ons are called site links, which means these are links to different paths on your website. In our case, maybe the holiday section with different products or personalized gifts we have here. Maybe also with different sets, or we could have also a blog, maybe maybe the email contact form, and so on and so on. And these we can add by using sitelinks. So I click here on edit. Normally I would add them, but since we already use the AI tool, that's already in here. I say create, and you see here sitelink. This is at first the name, and let's just do one sitelink for holiday and signature flannels. So first of all, I use the URL and put it in here. Then I call this, obviously, like the name says, signature flannel. We have it here. And you can also add a description, which I normally don't do. Without a description, just a link. If you add a description with up to 35 characters, we could do that. Give me the 2 descriptions for my Google Ad site link. Max of 35 characters for this page. So let's tell ChatGPT that, and let's see the site links. Perfect. Shop cozy signature flannels now, and stylish flannel gear for dogs. And that would be it already. This is the description, because sometimes you have then down here also a description below this site link text. Also that works pretty fine. On the desktop it would look like this. Here the site links are highlighted. If you don't want that, if you want to have the full overview, it looks like this. Like that. Okay, I'm not saving that because we do already have a couple of site links. Down here, 8 different site links, and I can just click on them and I see dog sets, and here we have all sets. We also have the signature flannels already here with the proper link, and we do have also personalized gifts and so on without a description. I can add even more. Solid toys or walk and dog toys, let's add that. Signature flannels I actually have twice, that doesn't make sense. We have flannel and we have, okay, that's twice, let's just delete it once. So sometimes this tool is also not perfect. Or what's going on here? Now it makes more sense. Walk and dog, dog sets, personalized gifts, solid collection. Okay, like this we only need 4. That's actually enough. These 4 are fine. Okay, and we can work properly with that. You also see by making some changes, the average CPC is now a bit higher. Probably because I changed also a bit the description, but that didn't change anything in the optimization. So I didn't see why we pay 1 cent more. We could go back and remake the changes, but actually I'm quite happy with the ad, and 9 cents per click is still fine. These are site links. Again, you can add a description, but if you do so, do it for all of them. Otherwise it doesn't look good and doesn't make any sense. But there's even more. There is also a call out for special things like, for example, the free delivery or a coupon code, anything that sticks out from your shop and that people should know about, even if it's not mentioned in the description maybe, or in the ad title. Last but not least on this page, let's talk about the callouts. You see we still have 2.8% left to optimize this campaign perfectly. And I want to do this. So I can add callouts. And callouts are special discounts or special things that make your website or that are very important to know about your website for customers. We do see it's part of the description. So it's at the end of every description, and you can have different callouts here. For example, free shipping or minus 15% Christmas offer. So these are just add-ons that are at the end of every description. And I forgot that, but there's always a point already at the end, so it always makes a sentence out of it, so you don't need to add a point, otherwise you have two. So this is just the end of your description with some further short information, really short. You don't need to write a sentence here, max of 25 characters. We also have advanced options. For example, a schedule. You can say start date is tomorrow and is a week later, all days. And we just use that because now I have these things scheduled. So the Christmas offer and the shipping, but only for 1 week. Also possible. New highlight maybe Black Friday or free gifts for orders over 50 USD. This is a bit long. Let's say free gifts or 50 USD, like that. And again here, I can add a schedule or I just say save. And now I can always decide when to use which call out. So I would one time create all these call outs for your website, best case without a timer, without a schedule, only create them default and then add them or delete them whenever you need them. This is a call out. I will use free shipping now. That's enough for me. And then I click on apply. Perfect. And now my campaign should be 100% optimized. Perfect. Which is also very, very good. You see the ad strength also here. It's excellent. And you see things I could improve. Make description unique. We're getting some ideas here. But actually I did most of that already. I think this one we edited. Google is not too happy with that one, but I like it. I think it will work, so I just take that. We have a weekly estimate of 2,900 clicks, 0.09 euros per click, so 9 cents, which gives us about 250 euros for 2,900 clicks. That would be okay, depending obviously on the quality of our page, because if we get 2,000 link clicks but nobody buys, this wouldn't be good. Okay, let's keep it like that. You see more asset types as well. This you can also add, for example, promotions, prices, or a phone number you can add. Promotions is quite nice. You could say this is for Black Friday. Language is English. We have currency euro. And the discount is maybe in percent. I say 20%. This is a 20% off discount now of all products. We see that here now it says 20% off and then the item, all products, and the final URL. So also here you have a URL, for example, the shop. Okay, and this is clickable again. So this is below your ad, very big actually. It looks really that big on the smartphone and that big on the laptop. So on the smartphone, this is insanely big. Looks for me a bit trashy, that's why I don't use it that often. But in combination with the rest, it could look good, especially for daily events like Cyber Monday or for the 4 days of Black Friday. What else do we have here? Boxing Day, Diwali, Easter, something like that. So for special promotions, it could really work. And you can also have the promotion dates here. So you can say, all right, this is only running from, in this case, Black Friday is 29th to 2nd of December. Then this would be the coupon date. Or we can also add a promo code. BF20 as a promo code. But in my case, it's just a link because maybe I do have automatically for these 4 days I select here already the 20% off on the website. Also here you have some tracking options and advanced options like a scheduling. We can save that now and simply apply it to our ad, obviously only if we have minus 20%, which I don't see here. So it's probably not the case. I click on done and this was our ad. The ad is now complete. I can click on next to have an overview of the budget, which is obviously the most important thing for your campaign success, because if you have no budget whatsoever, you won't succeed. If you use too much budget, but the ad doesn't work, you also will be in the minus. So we will talk about proper calculations you can use for your budget, but also talk about how to set a custom budget here in one of the next videos. Let's now talk about the budget here. But let's first go back to the bidding section, the first thing we did, because I said our goal is to maximize clicks, but we can also say we want to have a maximum CPC bid, because this is the average CPC. So sometimes we maybe pay 6 or 7 cents for a click, sometimes 10, 11, or 12. Also depending on the keywords and how expensive they are. We have them here. We have these keywords depending on how expensive they are. And if the more expensive ones lead to a click or the more cheap ones. But we can also say, let's cap here at 10 cents. This is my maximum CPC. This would give me probably a lower average CPC, but it could be that there is a more expensive keyword in my list here that would lead to more results, but it costs 12 cents per click, so it won't get used. This is why I don't use a maximum CPC. I only use this for conversion ads, but for link clicks, I don't mind if I pay 8 or 9 cents as long as I get good results. Talking about the budget, you always have a recommended budget. Obviously, Google recommends a higher budget than most advertisers want to need or want to use. I would say you simply set your own custom budget. I just say 20 euros per day. This is okay-ish for a search ad. If you have less than 15 euros a day, Google Ads might be a bit difficult for you. Everything below 30 euros, I would say go only with, or below 25 euros, go only with a search campaign. We will also talk about display ads or PMax, Performance Max campaigns. These are add-ons to your search campaign, but you should always have a search campaign as a basis on Google Ads. You see, it gives me a lower average CPC. 140 euros per week would lead to 2,200 clicks. this would actually be quite good. After that, I could go on review, check everything again, like the campaign name, the goal, the bidding, the networks I want to be displayed on, the keywords, the ad, and the budget, and then I can publish this. It will take about 2 days, 1 or 2 days, for Google to verify the ad and all the keywords and to be live. That's it. If there's anything wrong or you need to change anything, Google will also let you know. This was just a test campaign, so I obviously won't launch that for them, for this company. Why would I? We will talk about some calculations you can and should do before launching your Google Ads campaign, and also to check afterwards if it is a success or if you should stop it. For example, after 2 or 3 weeks, you can check, was it a success? Should I stop it maybe because it's just burning money, or do I actually get something out of it? In order to have a better overview of your spendings, it is important to be aware of one calculation, the return on ad spend. We'll talk about more calculations you can do with the ad results after you ran your campaign or during the period you ran it. But for now, we will only have a look at this specific calculation. Later on in the course, a bit more. Okay, let's ask ChatGPT, because why not? Everybody has access to ChatGPT, so it's also simple to just ask for a calculation or for an explanation here and give you easy access to that. So the prompt would be, explain the term ROAS, return ad spend, and how and why it is important for my Google Ads. Also explain in pictures and graphics. So this we can easily do. That is a good prompt. ROAS means return on ad spend, and it's actually not very hard to understand. So the basic formula is that we have the revenue that we get from the ad divided by the money we spend on the ad. Let's say we spend, like an example here, about 140 euros per week. Let's say 100 to calculate easier. So down here it's 100, like here. And we earn 400 euros by doing so. Just because people click on the website and buy a product, and we then see maybe in their Shopify report or in Google Analytics that we earned with this ad 400 euros. This is a perfect example, and actually too good to be true for most people. But this means that we earn 4 euros for every euro we spend, because the revenue is 4 times higher than the costs. Your ad is profitable as soon as the revenue is higher than the ad spend. So as soon as we do have here a number higher than 100, this can be 100.5 or 110, 120 or even 1,000, it just needs to be higher as the 100, okay? So even 100 divided by 100 would be okay, would give the ROAS of 1, because then we have brand awareness, so people see our ad and we get the money back, so we don't lose money, okay? So this would be already okay. Everything from 1 and above is good and profitable and would tell us that we should keep the ad running. Maybe optimize it, but don't stop it, because it is profitable, it makes us money if the ROAS is higher than 1. So it measures the profitability, that makes sense. We also have some examples here. And this is everything you have to know. You would lose money with a ROAS lower than 1. If it's 1, it's break even. If it's higher than 1, it's profitable. So I would never stop a campaign that is 1 or above. Okay? That was it from this video. Not hard to understand, but this is something you should really keep in mind. So make sure you can track your revenue from Google Ads. For example, by simply connecting Google Ads with your Shopify or with your other shop. This shop was made with Shopify. So do something like that. It is very easy then to track your return on ad spend. Let's now talk about the tools section here on the left side. By clicking on this, you see the tab Planning. And I want to talk about the Keyword Planner first, which is a very effective tool to find new keywords for your ads or get the forecast and volume for a specific keyword. Let's at first discover a new keyword, and we can either enter a keyword here. For example, I want to have things that are closely related to dog or dog toy. I can also decide on the location and the language. Okay. So you could also say, I want to have proper new keywords that have something to do with dog, but only used in Germany, only used in, I don't know, England, Belgium, wherever. In my case, only Canada, for example, because our shop, Canada and the US, doesn't sell in Austria, doesn't ship to Austria. And language is obviously English here. We want to have dog toys and dog toy. Dog accessories maybe. But let's stay with dog toys and dog toy for now, just for this test. And if you have a website with related keywords, for example, your own website, in our case, we could input our website here, then you could do that. I will just go with these two keywords for now, just to give you a feeling for how this works. Now we see we have the filters here, and we can also say for which time frame. For example, last 12 months, so in the last year. And then we do have dog toys here, the keyword. We have an average monthly search of 10,000 to 100,000 people. There is no 3-month change in a trend, so it didn't get incredibly more or less. There are other keywords that have this, and there's also no year-to-year change. Competition, that's important, especially for your ads budget. So if the competition is high, obviously you will pay a bit more for a click with one of these keywords. Here we have 100K to 1 million. Competition is low, so not a lot of people are running ads for it. And the keyword is toy puddle. So maybe we can check that if that is worth using. We do see for bully box toys, there's a huge increase. So I would check this keyword actually with Google Trends, or just check on Google what this actually is. Probably a brand. Small dog harness, we have a decrease of -90%. And here, best dry dog food for small dogs, increase of 900%. This could be actually a chance if we sell dry dog food, because people apparently look or search for that even more in the last couple of months. What else? We can broaden the search. We can use pet accessory or dog accessory actually. Let's do this. dog products. Let's also include that. So we can include new keywords to get more ideas. We already got 6,000 ideas now. Okay, now that I also deleted this field here on the right side, we do see the bids. And we do see that some of these keywords are very, very expensive. For example, this here, fresh dog food, very high competition and very, very expensive keyword. So I wouldn't use this keyword because top of page bid or top of page bid high range, low range, high range, so which means to be for, let's say, dog toys, the ad sponsored here as a first place, that would be this here, would be very expensive and I don't want to pay that much, which means I can also filter here for cheaper keywords easily if I want to do that. So keywords with a good monthly search, with maybe even medium competition, not high competition, but also not too high for of a bidding. Like this, for example, Pedigree dog food. Okay, Pedigree is a brand, we can't use that. Diamond Naturals, also brand. Yeah, so I would just go through here to find new keywords. It's also easily possible to download this, in my case as a Google Drive, for example, and use the report as an Excel or a Google Sheets to filter through all these keywords. Here we have this now, keywords, stats, and we can add filters here easily. I add some filters right like this, and now I can filter by, for example, starting letter, by average monthly searches, and so on, and can easily check this whole document with over 6,000 keywords. So this is the keyword idea section. In here, let's go back and let's say start with a website. We can also do that. Then we can simply input our website here and see all the keywords we get from that. So we do have the website here. We can input it and we can either say use the entire site, this, or when we have a specific one like new arrivals, we can also input that and use only this specific site. But I want to go for the overall site, so everything basically. Let's say just this, and then we get about 1,000 keywords that are somewhere in here, maybe in a description, maybe in a blog article, and so on and so on. And we see that these keywords are not as expensive as the ones we found with the search just by looking for random keywords. So they are a bit better, and since they're anyway already in here, I would also rather use them for my ads and check if they are proper for the current search ad we are creating. Again, I could easily download the Excel or Google Sheets here to have a better look. Okay, this was the keyword idea tab. Let's also get the search volume and forecast. All we can do now is get the search volume and forecast. Let's say you already had a look at your keyword list from the discovery tab, or you just want to check the keywords you entered here. So I will just copy the keywords we already have. We know currently we have an average CPC of 10 cents. And then I click on Get Search Volume and Forecast, and either upload a file or simply just input all my keywords. And then you see that, let's also go here for the last year, for not Austria, but Canada and the United States. and English best case, oh, that's fine, we see the different bids, top bid for top of page bid, low range and high range. So starting from this up to this. And we do see that we do have an expensive one in here. It is, which one is it? Let's check actually. Dog products online. Okay, that makes sense. Quite a competitive one. Dog products online. So by simply deleting that, we probably have a lower average CPC. Okay, no, that actually made it to 11 cents. That's interesting. So we keep it. Funny, because it's actually the most expensive we do have here range-wise. Okay, let's just keep it. We do see dog accessories has a really high in the last 3 months. So this is something we could go or dig even deeper in. The Froggy Dog colors, that's just our brand name. We don't need to really go into that. But here, dog accessory, that looks actually quite nice. And based on that, we could also create a campaign, which we already did. We also have negative keywords next to it, just to let you know. And you can add your negative keywords. So we have still broad match, phrase match, and exact match, but you can also say we don't want to be or have anything to do with, let's say there's a brand that's called the doggy. Maybe like this. Then we can save this, and then this broad match would be a negative. So every broad match keyword with this keyword in it is just blocked from our campaigns. Okay, so also by using this, we could simply create a campaign here. And this is the keyword planner, at least the most interesting things. Let's go one step back, because when we look for keywords here, or simply have a forecast, you can also see the different columns. So you can decide by clicking on columns what you see. For example, I don't want to see the year-to-year change, but I want to see the competition or the organic impression share. And I can also sort it however I want, which is later a bit more important when you have actual stats that you want to see in for your campaigns. And the same you can also do for the saved keyword, so for the actual forecasting. Also here we can do the same. So this is the keyword planner. You can discover new keywords, but you can also check the volume for existing. A very simple tool for keywords. Let's say you already worked with the keyword planner and now you have a list of keywords, of broad keywords obviously. And now I want to have more phrase matches or exact matches. Then there are websites like this. It's called adwordswrapper.com. This is rather old. Back in the days, Google Ads was called Adwords, and you still had these modified broad phrases with a plus, and you worked a bit more with also negative keywords. In our case, we just want to have this list, or at least the most important ones, not this one. Foggy and Froggy I don't need. Here, these keywords wrapped. And then you see, for example, here I do have all these keywords as a broad phrase and exact match, or only as a phrase and exact match, or only as a phrase, or only as an exact, or also as a negative keyword. So I now say broad phrase and exact. I copy this, and then I just put it, let's copy it, put it in here. And this gives me a different CPC. Now it's only 0.09. I could also do something else and say only phrase and exact matches, so no broad matches, which limits my performance probably. But by doing so, I'll get an average CPC of 0.07. Since we didn't test anything yet, we don't need to optimize anything. I just keep my keywords. Or let's try it also with froggy dog and foggy dog. I wrap that. Now I use here broad, phrase, and exact. All of them. This should keep me with 100. And let's make it cheaper. We don't use broad matches. Yeah, we see that gives us a lower optimization score because we don't have the broad matches, but an average CPC that is a bit lower. Doesn't make sense. We want to have a 100% optimized score, so I just keep this for now until we might need to do some adaptations, optimizations because of the cost or anything. So this is one way. You could also say, please, ChatGPT, give me related keywords for my Google Ads and use match, or let's say exact and phrase match, and phrase matches if good for the performance. So we can work here with a bit of ChatGPT as well. Obviously, I use the free version of ChatGPT, so this is not a good list. If you have the paid version, it totally makes sense. Give me all keywords in one combined list. So I want to have one list, and let's see how this affects our optimization score and also the average CPC. But it's just good to play a bit with that. We do see it decreases a bit the average CPC, but also decreases the campaign score. I would say let's just go with the broad matches for now. But if I ever need exact matches or phrase matches, I just use AI or a website like adwordswrapper.com. Okay, let's now talk about how to search for keywords. The free and easy way, if you maybe don't find enough with the Google Keyword Planner, or if you want to look for trends that you can anticipate or already, for example, run ads for things that are trendy right now. The first thing to do is Google Trends. By typing in Google Trends on Google, you will find this website, and here you have some very trendy keywords. For example, South Korea is a trend right now, or Dubai chocolate, especially in Austria, that's a trend right now. So here are some things for Austria in my case, because my home here is Austria. If you want to have that for, let's say, the US or Canada, because we're only shipping in the US and Canada. Let's go for United States. United States, okay. Then we see also here South Korea is a trend today. We do have Kendrick Lamar tour. We have RCD Mallorca to Barcelona, Eminem, and Lakers versus Timberwolves. These are not important for my product, so I would just switch to Explore and look for a specific search term. Also some events we have here, for example, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. This is rising. We have some top results, 2024, film, weather, and so on and so on. What I want to do is for the United States, in the past 90 days, I want to have maybe, yeah, all categories, or we say we go with pets and animals in my case, because we have the foggy dog page. Web search, image, or news, in my case, web. And then I want to have a look for dog toy as a search term. You see there's a rise in this in the last 90 days, probably because we are gonna get more and more to Christmas. So Christmas is near. And what we see now related to dog toy is, and I will make it a bit bigger, is here these thingies. And these are indestructibly bare dog toy. So that's a keyword that has a breakout currently. Dog advent calendar, because as I said, it's December, so this is trendy right now. Grinch dog toy, blunt dog toy, and a Wonder Ball toy. And we have a few more here. So what I would do is probably use these keywords for my either ad keywords or for the creatives. So let's say I will make a picture, an image for my Google ads. Then I can easily make a dog advent calendar picture, or simply use that topic for December and make an advent calendar for my website. So this is not only for researching keywords, but also to simply have some ideas for further content or for things I could do in my shop. Also, when we type in only dog, last 90 days, we will see here rising dog sweater, sweaters and sweater. So this is kind of trendy in the last 90 days, and so on and so on. So by that, I get a lot of keywords. I can go or dig in deeper. Dog sweater, I can now look for that. You see this trend, and this is quite easy. We have 0 in September. So this is just the interest over time. The lower lowers also the interest. So here we have 96, which is very high compared to before. If you have 12 months maybe, you will see that this is always the case in December. Then it gets lower and then it spikes again. So whenever I am in, let's say, end of October, I should already start using this keyword maybe for ads, depending on how expensive it is, obviously. When I say for the past 5 years, you will see exactly that, these spikes for November, December, because this is quite a Christmas topic. Sweaters, probably the same, yes, but it's getting less and less actually. So I would go here with sweater for my ads. And you see that we have related queries. Chris Evans dog sweater, Dior dog sweater, Barefoot Dreams dog sweater, Skims dog sweater, and so on and so on. So maybe I could make a product based on that or run an ad based on that. There is Shirin David, and she is quite famous. She's a German rapper and singer, and she, which is, let's say, 12 months and Germany, and she had quite an influence on different topics like iced tea or also matcha because of her hype. Shirin David matcha, for example. This had quite a spike here in September because she released a song about matcha. So this is in combination with matcha latte, iced matcha latte Shirin, iced matcha latte, and so on and so on, is quite a good campaign because people are looking for that. This has quite a breakout. Okay, so if you know a trend or if you want to look for a trend, then Google Trends is right for you. You can also obviously use the normal Google search here and simply type in dog sweater to see other campaigns like these sponsored products. Or you see here, this is the first link that pops up. What are they doing right? So here we could check what's going on here, which keywords are they using for their products. Also here, dog sweaters. So we have here the S at the end, sweaters, black skull wool dog sweater, and so on and so on. For sweaters, I even have sponsored links. So this is maybe even more competitive. So by simply using Google Trends in combination with the Google search, I can get quite some interesting keywords. Okay, let's now bring our campaign one step further and also talk about display ads. Display ads are, when we have a look for the specific formats and sizes here on the Google Ads help, display ads are with pictures. That's the main difference. So with a normal text campaign, we do have it here, the search campaign. You see it's just text. We have a maximum of characters we can use, but it's only text. Display has also all the text details like headlines, descriptions, and call to action, but also images or videos. For example, a horizontal video or a vertical video like an Instagram story or an Instagram reel, but also these square normal pictures or videos that you see on Facebook or Instagram in your feed. And it looks like this because these display ads can be placed at a YouTube video or below a YouTube video. And I showed you that straight in the beginning. So sometimes next to a YouTube video there is a display. Sometimes on blogs there can be a display. For example, I'm looking for information about dogs and there is a page that has Google ads running. Then maybe there is a display for this web shop. Here, also in Gmail, you sometimes have displays and also, of course, here, product images on Google. Okay, this is a display campaign, this is a search campaign. There's also the Performance Max, which combines basically all the existing things, so all the existing objectives, but also uses a combination of videos and images and text, but with all goals combined basically. Okay, so the Performance Max is an add-on to display and search. Since it's basically the same to set up a Performance Max than a display campaign, I will show you this because people normally start with search and display, and as soon as they perfectly run these ads, they can add a Performance Max to that. But a Performance Max campaign is not better than a search campaign, it's an add-on only. So some people I saw skip the search campaign and only did Performance Max. First of all, Performance Max need more budget because it's a lot of objectives at the same time. So obviously, or a lot of things happening at the same time. So obviously you need to have more budget to reach your goals, and it doesn't, or you shouldn't skip because of that the search campaign. This is still important and a base for every add-on. Which means for display images, for example, now we want to sell products. We could use our product images and make them look pretty. But this is something for later. So we will also create an image based on these pictures or a GIF. We can use all of these existing things here. How do we do that? We click on campaigns and on plus, new campaign. And in this case, I want to have website traffic or maybe sales. depending on how good your tracking is. Let's just go here with website tracking. And now I say display. Performance max, again, it's a good combination, but we go with display for here. And I type in my website name. Okay, and say continue. Display Shopify dog toys. Maybe like that. And then I click on continue. And this is the basic understanding of a display campaign. Everything else looks a bit the same. We see that here. And we will talk about it in a second. Okay, let's now have a look at location and language here for our display campaign. First of all, we're only shipping to specific countries, which is Canada and the US. This is a quick one because we already know it from the search campaign. We could also have the advanced search and maybe use the radius, for example, because we're also shipping to a specific city in Mexico, maybe that, but not to all of them. Then we could do here Mexico City with 10 miles, like this. This would include Mexico City, but nothing else. In our case, that's not important. Also pin mode, you have it on the top left here. You could just drop a pin. With the miles here, we have 20 miles around, and then you can include also a specific location, which is more important for offline ads, like for your restaurant, for example. Okay, this is that, perfect. Here we want to have presence, people in or regularly in included location, because if they're only visiting Canada, but they're from Europe, that wouldn't help us here, because we only ship to Canada and the US, we don't ship to Europe, even though people might do some vacation in Canada and then look for dog toys, doesn't help. So here presence is important, interest alone is not important. In our case, we're having as a language English and French. English because we're selling to the US, French because a part of Canada is French, so we can include them here. It wouldn't make sense to include German right now because we're not selling to Germany. So for your shop, really make sure which location you're selling to and then make an ad based on that. So if you're selling to Spain, Germany, and maybe also France, make 3 different ads. That's more or less, that's actually better because only English ads for German-speaking countries or French-speaking countries can be a bit difficult. Also here we can add an ad schedule. We want to have it in all devices, that's for sure. We want to set an end date here. So maybe the end date is in a month. And you can also include or exclude other stuff. For example, here I want to exclude my ads from tragedy and sexually suggestive. So from sensitive content, I want to exclude my ads. So when there is, for example, an Instagram picture about war or about politics or whatever, then I'm not in this. Or I won't be listed as an ad for these ads. That's it actually. That is language and location. Not very difficult because we talked about it already so intensively. That's why we discussed budget and bidding in the next video. What we'll do now is talking about budget and bidding. So we click on next here and then set an average daily budget for this campaign. It does make sense here to spend a bit more than on your search campaign ads because display is a bit more competitive, I would say. Also because you or your pictures are spread among a few different platforms like Gmail and YouTube, not only Google, okay? So here it makes sense to have a higher daily budget. we go for 20 euros now and get the estimate of 150 to 600 clicks, which is depending on what results we get and how many sales from these link clicks we get. It's maybe good, maybe not. That's something we can't say right now. Then it's important that you either look for the conversions, like that's your main goal, or the impressions. So impressions would mean you pay for impressions first of all, and you want people to see the video or the pictures as often as possible. So you could say, I want to pay 3 euros for 1,000 impressions. The average CPM is even lower, so I can go for 150, which would give me 150 to 300k impressions. I, in this case, go for conversions. So you can maximize the conversions or manually set a bid. For example, I don't want to pay more than 3 euros per click. Actually, that's way too much, so I would go with 0.5. I don't want to pay more than 50 cents per click. I just maximize it here because Google knows best what's good for me. Okay, you can also have a target CPA, which is something you can simply add on here. Yeah, since this is not about the display ad itself, but also goes for every ad type, just read through it and click on it if you need it or not. So that's bidding and budget, actually the same here again as for the search campaign. By clicking on next, we do have the targeting here, and this is the topic for the next video. The targeting is super important also for your display ads. So I click on add targeting, and optimized targeting is set up for me already, which is good. But we want to click through all these things. So first of all, it's the audience segment. And here we do have the recent currently because we used pet supplies and dog leashes and collars and all of that already. And you do see a change in clicks here because the target audience changes a bit. Puppy day, dog apparel, dog supplies. That's actually all right. We can also just browse. We already talked about that. For example, you wanna here also use an Adwords optimized list, or maybe a combined audience, maybe an audience we created already. So everything we can look through here. Optimized targeting we can now simply turn off here, but this is actually good, like to have it on, because now we have 140 to 640 clicks. Without that, we only have a max of 500. At least that's the estimate. Why? Because without optimized targeting, it only targets people who are in these lists. And with optimized targeting, it also includes people who might fit these groups. Like, for example, now we have dogs. Maybe it also targets people who looked for or searched for dog food or dog toys for this keyword or for this category, even though we didn't include it here. So optimized targeting is actually not bad. Same goes for demographics. This is based on your knowledge about your target audience already. So probably age and gender is important. I would go for, depending on, we have a pretty expensive product actually. So I wouldn't include 18 to 24, they can afford it, and not 65 plus. I would go here with 25 to probably 54, depending on what I know about my audience, and maybe only female, but this is something you need to figure out for yourself because you know your target audience way better than I do. Also here, again, please, that's the same thing. So optimized targeting goes for all these thingies. So let's say there is someone perfectly fitting this audience, but if he's or she is 24, then she might still get targeted because she perfectly fits. This is optimized targeting. Keywords, very important. And here we can get ideas based on our website, or we type in a product or service. Dog toys and all of that. And we could include that. I want to see or add all ideas. Perfect. And now I can also add other ideas. For example, food. I want to get rid of because we're not selling food. Do we have it here? Yeah, discount dog food. This I delete. Designer dog color. Yeah, that's fine. So here I would also include more keywords that fit and exclude things I don't sell. Maybe I don't sell bananas, then we can simply get rid of it. And add more keywords that are relevant. But we already know how to look for keywords, so this is a step I will simply skip because you know how it works, and please make sure you have a good keyword list. Keyword settings. We have here content only show ads on web pages, apps, and videos related to these keywords. We could do that, or actually we probably do that if we use keywords. It also makes sense to only target them. What else do we have? We have the topics. Topics here is for sure pets and animals. Let's simply use specific dogs, and that's it. We don't need more. And we do have the placement, and this is actually a bit more precise because we can say website or YouTube channels, specific ones, YouTube videos, apps. So you can also type in here specific YouTube videos or website links if you want to get displayed for a specific video. Let's say you want to run your ads in front of videos of your competition, or you have specific websites you for sure want to get listed on. So you can do that. Here I added a YouTube video, for example. It's how to use the 4 type of dog toys. It makes sense to run my ads here in front of that video, of course, especially because it's the #1 video on YouTube for the keyword dog toys. So do this by simply adding YouTube videos, websites, something that is important to you, or maybe there's some apps that are matching. In this case, they're not, but YouTube videos you can easily add, and YouTube channels, also that, and also websites, okay? Apps as well. Let's say you have an app, just enter it here, enter the Google Play Store link or whatever to see if that maybe fits. Good. We can click on optimized targeting. We do have that already. So I click on next, and then I do see the ad creation. And because Google knows my website, we already have a suggestion for images and also for texts, but this is something for the next video. Okay, let's create some ads here. And we, of course, do need a headline and a description, like also for the search ads, but we also include images and or videos. So first of all, URL and the business name. And then you see we do have straight away the image tab here, and I can upload up to 15 images. By clicking on learn more, you also get the sizes because you do have horizontal, square, and vertical. Vertical, for example, for some display ads that are on websites, square mostly on YouTube, and horizontal also on websites, more or less. But you do see some more information here. We can review what they already uploaded based on our website. This is nice, and this is the logo. This we don't need. So what I would do is, depending on which link I use, I would probably use the shop and toys link because I only want to sell toys now. So we don't save that. I use the final URL here. And then I see what I get suggested. Let's delete this and this. We save that, only that one. And I get some suggested as well by clicking on edit. These are all based on my final URL. And you could use some free stock images, but I will show you in the next video how you can also create easily designs with Canva. Asset library is everything you already uploaded. Website, so this is based on my website, and here you see by simply using my website I get all these pictures from my shop, so I can simply use them without having to create anything anything specifically. So now I added 15 pictures, or I upload a new one, a one I created on my own with Canva or Photoshop. This we do in the next video. I saved these 15, that's fine for now. Please check if you have double, because here this one is double. I only need it once. And also check that they have different sizes, because this is now all square. So it would make sense to also have a horizontal one, and what else do we need? A vertical one. So now most of them are square, but we also would need horizontal and vertical. And now that we have the images, we can see how it would look like. We have the display here. This is the display ad. And this and this. So it could look like this with an image. We have the headline with the link, and also here the button, and we have some text. We could be linked here on or promoted on Gmail and obviously on YouTube, but let's simply add a logo. So this we should do, add our logo. Since that is not one-to-one, I would upload it again. Let's not do this now, but here you should upload your logo. Okay, you could upload videos based on YouTube or your asset library. So you can upload videos, or you upload it to YouTube and then simply use the YouTube URL link, which is also very efficient for link click ads. It's the same as for your search ads. Here you get some recommended already. And as you already know, you can add up to 5 headlines, and they should be unique and best case also communicate different stuff. So dog toys is of course the keyword, and they're not getting combined here, so that's fine. It's only one of them at a time. They're not getting combined like for a search ad, but maybe use one ad that doesn't say dog toy because you want to test something else. Fluffy dog accessoires, maybe something like that, so that it doesn't say dog toy in all of them. Squeak dog toys, and so on and so on. Now we get the check here, so that's fine. We don't have a check for the images because it's only square images, so Google would like to have here some horizontal and vertical as well. We have a long headline, only one with up to 90 characters. Here also ChatGPT helps, of course. Toys, colors, leashes, beds and accessoires. Bananas, I think it's not a good keyword. So this is basically your longer headline, which you can create with either telling people what they can buy or the advantages from clicking and whatnot. And then we do have descriptions, again here up to 5, with as well up to 90 characters. Also here I would make sure that they are a bit individual, they're not getting combined, not like a search ad again, but they should be unique enough that you don't always communicate the same thing, because maybe if you communicate it differently or in other words, people are more likely to click, but you can test it if you use the same description in only different combinations here. Like if it only says eco-friendly pet toys in all 5 of them, then it's maybe not good for testing. But if that is the keyword that performs best or well after testing it for 2-3 weeks, then of course change that and only communicate eco-friendly pet toys. What else do we have here? We have further format options. For example, auto-generated videos. If that helps, yes, I'm not a big fan of that. So if I want to have videos, I simply upload them myself. And native formats, they might improve the performance, but they might change stuff with your CI. Let's say you have the CI green with a very specific font on the picture, then I would really go with that and not use native formats, because maybe Google changes something here and then the logo is not visible anymore or something like that. Use asset enhancement. That is for the ad layout, and this I most of the time keep, but you don't have to. If you're just testing, you can actually activate all of them and just see how it performs. Then you do have some URL options for tracking. And by clicking on more options, you should add a call to action. In this case, this one is shop now. English, that's fine. And I would say create ad here. This is an ad. You can here create multiple ads. For example, this we do with pictures. Then we make one with a new one with only videos, and where do we have it? We can also say, hey, let's copy this here and just change the text, only the headlines and the descriptions, but we keep the images. So you can really be a bit playful here. The more ads you have, the more budget you also should use to test them properly, obviously. So that's the ad creation. I will show you in the next video how to create short videos or mainly images with Canva, because here we actually only need to click on next and can run this ad as soon as we do have everything uploaded. So here is one mistake here, because as I said, we don't get a check here because Google wants at least one landscape image, and this is something we will create in the next video. Okay, now we create a landscape image with Canva, because without that we are not allowed to even run this campaign. Which means we click here on learn more to see the sizes, and you see horizontal image. This is what we need. We copy that, the recommended size in pixels. Then we hop over to Canva. If you need any knowledge about Canva here, I do have other courses. There are other courses on YouTube as well, and you can always ask questions here. So I click on customize size and use 1200 for the width and 628 for the height in pixels, which is actually a Facebook ad size. So we can also use that quickly, because then we get templates. So if you ever use or want to create some horizontal images, you can simply use Facebook ad templates. We won't do that. What we will do is create an image here for this product, for the blush pink Gingham dog squeaky toy. We could use all of these images and simply stretch them maybe. I will also download this or right click copy to put it in here, because we can use it as a background, or at least use the color. I will show you in a second. Okay. And I already downloaded this here, since this is my brand, or at least in this course we say this is my brand. I do have this picture also with a cutout, so I quickly upload that with already a cutout. If you use a picture like this with a background, you can always use the BG remover from Canva, which is paid, or use remove.bg for uploading an image, and then the background gets removed like this, and then you can download it. So this is the free version. If you have Canva Premium, you can also simply use Canva, because the cutout here is quite good. So this we could put here. I want to have an one color background, so I click on the background color, and now I do see photo colors because we added the photo already. I simply have the color. If I don't have that, I click on add new color, the color picker, and then use the color or get the color like this. So now I have a clean background. What else do we need? I want to click on edit to adjust it a bit, make a bit less colorful, no, a bit more no, actually no contrast, but bring the brightness a bit down and the highlights down. Okay, and then we want to have a shadow effect, a drop effect with 20 intensity maybe, like this. Okay, we see this is all right, but not perfect. Let's see what else we can do here. Maybe use something like this, like a box, which we make a bit darker for the back. And now we can also add some text. I add a heading, which is 20% off, we could say. Wait, let's just get a heading first, 20% off. We could use that here. I don't like the font. Maybe we go with a bold one. This one is fine. We take that one, 20% off. And here we use the effects background and make this black. And the text we make pink, like this. 20% off. Then we do have maybe free shipping. And we can put all these banners somewhere here. Best quality, depending on what you want to communicate. So this would be an easy design. We could also use an existing template. Maybe look for dog, then we see dog templates. That would work. Or like we did already, we said we have this. Another easy way. Yeah, use, for example, that here. And then just say, what are we doing? We are using edit, adjust, and blur it. So sharpness may be off. That's good. That's actually already fine. We can use here the blur effect to blur the middle part with this brush. So everything you now, everything you now paint here gets blurry, and I will simply blur all of it. So we can say whole image is actually easier. Like this, so it's still visible, but the middle is a bit more blurry. Okay. Okay, that's too blurry. Whatever. Then let's bring this back. Okay, that's too blurry, but next time we can make it better. And here we can now say we use the product. I copy that, put it in a bag. So this is also a very easy way, because now we do have the CI from our brand, but with the product here, maybe we do need that here. Like this. That looks actually all right. Depending on what you want to communicate, you can make it more playful. You can have dogs on it. So that's up to you and your pictures. I probably would also, let's say, add a dog. Maybe there is a dog image. Let's see. A dog element, something like this. You probably do have some images of dogs if you have a dog brand anyway. So this is maybe a bit more playful depending on how your CI is and what you want to communicate. I would simply download it. In this case, only page number 2 as a PNG because it's better quality than a JPEG. That takes a couple of seconds. And then we go back to Google, click on edit, and I uploaded 14 pictures. Now we can simply click on upload and upload one from my computer. And this is automatically also selected already. This is good. I click on save. Now we can review again for errors. See if we now can, now we're able to publish the campaign, because you do need a vertical, horizontal image and squares, but you don't need to have vertical image. I would say use a good mix, use a bit more squares, but also, let's say, 3 horizontal, 3 vertically. It could be that you do have a square and you simply transform it to horizontal, like this here with the white background. These thingies, the product images down here, you could easily just copy that to a white page like this and put it here. So now you have actually a square image, but it looks like it is a horizontal image, and simply upload that instead. But it's also always nice to have a bit more communication, more colors, whatever your brand needs. And that's how to create display campaigns and also make them a bit better. What you need is obviously also vertical images for a good ad strength, and videos, but videos you need to create yourself anyway. But you do see now when we do have this here, it looks simply better to have horizontally images as well. It just looks nicer than only having the square ones like we had before. So good mix of image sizes is important for your display ad. Let's now talk about custom audiences. And therefore we switch to tools and shared library, audience manager. And here we do have a bunch of data segments for this account. We do have some audiences, for example, retargeting and interests, competition Germany 45 plus, and so on. And we also have custom segments. And to create a perfect audience, I would always start with a custom segment. So here we have competition, but also purchase and people searching. And here we start with a segment. We call it now test segment. I probably won't save it, but whatever. And here we can do 2 things. First of all, we should have the United States and Canada included, not United Kingdom. And all in English, that's also fine. Campaign type all, that's good. So this is the base. And then we can say people with any of these interests or purchase intentions. So people with any of these interests, here we could say dog toys. Then we get some intentions, for example, best chew toys for dogs, or play dog toys, pet dog toys, and we can simply include some of them. And on the right side, we then see the weekly impressions, the gender, it's a 50-50 split, the age, the parental status, and topic. So this is also good for some market research for our website, because we can check, okay, is our website the same? Are there more man, more female, whatever. So here I would include some keywords with dog toy, indestructible maybe, chew toys, and so on and so on. This is all fine. And you can also say people who searched for any of these terms on Google. So this is the big difference. Either the interest, then you see it's 10 billion to 1 trillion weekly impressions. When I say searched for any of these terms, it's obviously less, because then people really need to look for this specific keyword, which is a bit more precise. And also, when we see the difference between parental status, it makes a slight difference, but that would actually be it. So we can include this here or this here, whatever you prefer. I can say save, which I now won't, because I don't want to have it in this account. It's just a test account. Then I click on audiences. And now I can call it audience test. We have a custom segment. And here either I create a new segment like we just did, or I look for an existing, for example, the purchase segment. You see it gives me about 10 billion weekly impressions, this segment. I can add some of them if I want, so I can combine segments. This is the first thing I can do for an audience. I can use my own data. For example, website visitors. I want to have all users or all visitors and so on and so on. You see it's not a lot, but it's still something. And we can use interests and demographics. So for example, I will look up pet supplies, dog food and supplies. Now I will look up dog pet care, dog supplies, and so on and so on. So in an audience, you can put in a mix of custom segments, your own website data, and interests and demographics, which is super, super nice. And this audience we can then use for the audience or the interest and demographic segment for every campaign. So this is how you create your own custom audience. Now let's look at some statistics. We want to have a look at numbers during, but also at the end of your campaign. Obviously also during, because otherwise we have no clue if the campaign is running good or not. Depending on which website you use for your product, or in general how you track your sales, you can also use the combination. For example, here I would see we have costs of about 2,900 euros, and in Shopify or Google Analytics, this would be tracked. So it would probably say in Shopify, this Google Ads, or in Google Analytics, the Google ad number 7, in this case called display sale DE for Germany, made a profit of, let's say, 2,000, and you spent 2,800, this wouldn't be good, or at least it wouldn't cover the costs. Okay, so we do see your clicks, we see the numbers of impressions, the click-through rate, so about 1% of all the people who saw it, which is the impression, clicked on it, not too good. Average cost per click is 16 cents. This is rather high. Conversion rate, so people who made a sale actually, depending on what the conversion is. The conversion can also be, let's say, just a website click or a sell on my website or a newsletter subscription. So this is not fixed. This you have to fix. Yeah, it's 0.3%. So cost per conversion is 51 euros. That is rather high. So this wasn't the best ad we had on this account. There was just a first brief draft actually. What you can do here is have a look on the different reports, for example. You can have a look for shop visits, conversions, search terms, and so on and so on. And by clicking on columns and modify columns, you can also sort that. So now we have campaign type, clicks, impressions, CTR, and so on and so on. Maybe also the purchase is important to me, or the add to baskets, or maybe also some Google Analytics data, the reach, how many unique users, or also the frequency per user. So how many times did a user on average saw the ad? I can include that. Let me just check where I put it in. Here, average impression. I put this quite in the front after the impressions. I want to have that. And now I see here the purchase. This is not tracked, so it doesn't make sense. And average impression frequency per user, also not tracked. So here I see this is rather bad tracking. So I would need to set the Google Pixel up better to combine it with my Shopify store or my WordPress website. But this is fine for now. What I also can do is click on my campaign to see the ad group itself. Maybe I have different ad groups, or click again to see all the different creatives. And now I see all the different images and videos, all the different ads itself. And we see one performed pretty well, the other didn't. Based on average CPC, it makes a big difference. And average cost per conversion also very different here. 17 euros compared to 1,000 euros per conversion. This is rather high. So I would only use the upper one and also check why this performed better. Maybe better titles or better descriptions, maybe better images. So this is something I would need to test, but the first one obviously performed the best. And this is how you can quickly check your results. Obviously, you would need to dig deeper into that, and also ChatGPT helps to read all these numbers, but this is a first understanding of how to see your numbers and how to also sort them in here. Okay, one last thing. If you want to check some metrics and calculations, you can always, and this is what I also do and what most people do, use the help of AI to understand more. For example, if you want to have further calculations or know how to read your numbers in your Google Ads dashboard, you can simply start by using ChatGPT, for example. That's what I did. Which numbers and calculations do I need to do for my Google Ads? And then you see there's a breakdown. For example, give me the most important ones, the cost metrics, the CPC, the cost per click, or the cost per acquisition, the CPA, or performance metrics like click-through rate. We saw that it was about 1%, the conversion rate, CVR, and you also see how it's calculated, which Google Ads gives you automatically, but maybe you want to check that by yourself. So the total clicks divided by the impressions, that's the click-through rate. Impression share, or also the ad rank, or the revenue spent, so the ROAS, which we already discussed previously. Check that again if you want to know more. very hard calculations like the customer lifetime value, and so on and so on. So if you want to have practical tips and also improve your knowledge, it's also good to use a beginner's course like this and then know how to ask the right questions. So the most courses are not to give you 100% knowledge for being a pro, but it's more like giving you the base so that you can further improve your knowledge and that you know what the baseline is and what numbers, what maybe also terms you need to use, and how to ask for more now. So I know, for example, return ad spend, that's important for me. I know that because of the course. So what I would do now is ask ChatGPT, how can I improve my ROAS for my existing Google Ads campaign? And then I get some ideas, and now I check what of these things I maybe didn't do. Maybe I didn't do geo-targeting. Maybe I need to refine my audience. Maybe I need to write new ad copies, and so on and so on. So when I see, okay, people don't click, maybe it's my copy then. So how to optimize my ad copy, and so on and so on. So you really dig deep into the topic by using AI, books, or websites. This is the only way to really improve your knowledge. Let's now talk about how to use ChatGPT for paid ads, which means for Facebook ads, Facebook ad campaigns, but also Instagram ads, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Snapchat ads, TikTok ads, and all of them. So it doesn't really matter for which platform you are now using these, let's say, tricks. The only difference here is with Google Ads, because here you also need a really good focus on keywords. So you also need to find some good keywords, but for all the other social media based ads platforms, it doesn't really matter. Which also means that you can save approximately 20% of your time creating these ads simply with a few different tips for ChatGPT. I also created a test company here for this section. We are the Healthy Habits company, and it is specializing in the manufacturing and distribution of healthy snacks. And here we have the product Vital Veggie Chips, so chips that are delicious and healthy, so an alternative for traditional potato chips. We have like carrots, beets, and sweet potatoes. Why am I telling you this? Because we will work with this example now in the next couple of videos and really create a campaign from top to bottom from this video target audience, but also then the different interests and needs. And based on these interests and needs, then title, description, and call to action. The objective here for this campaign is to increase the brand awareness and boost the sales of Vital Veggie Chips. We have a total budget of 1,000 euros and a daily budget of 20 euros. This should also be fixed because based on that, ChatGPT can also give some hints. And we have the duration. So campaign duration of 2 months, which is 60 days. So approximately 500 euros per month. Let's start with the target audience, so the persona. Because in new digital marketing, you don't work with target audience where you really don't see a customer, but rather just summarize some stuff you imagine. No, it's rather about a real customer and one person with a name, an age, and a face. And this person represents your target audience, or at least one person of the target audience. And here I made this in a 5 minutes brainstorming. We will now see that ChatGPT can do this way faster. But here I have some points about occupation. This person is working in an office job 30 hours a week and is doing housework next to it. We have values like open to the new world, try new things, family-oriented and health-oriented. For the product usage, this person doesn't like any unknown ingredients. And nutrition and food, here we have the focus on healthy and organic products. Media consumption, we have Instagram, podcast, and Facebook, and an income of $2,500 a month approximately. Which is important because we know, okay, with the words organic or family or healthy, we can run these ads on Instagram, podcasts, and Facebook to achieve our goals. Okay, let's start with this here. I will now copy this company and click on a new ChatGPT chat. We only work with the free version for that. And here I ask, please create a persona for my product based on this information. Give me media consumption, product choice, but also basic stuff like age, gender, and like work and income. And then I simply run this. Then you see that ChatGPT is actually pretty good in doing that. We have name, so you also really get a name for this actually not existing person, but here we have Emily Greenfield, 32 years old, female, occupation is marketing manager at a tech startup with an income of approximately $50,000 a year. We have social media, lifestyle and blogs, cooking shows and podcasts. So social media is good. She is especially on Instagram and Pinterest. Also that is valuable for us. For product choice, Emily is health conscious and values nutritious snacks. Okay, perfect. Natural and free, low in calories. So these are all already keywords we then also can use for the title, for example. So for the headline of our ad, or maybe for the actual copy, so the primary text, which is then also important. You also get an advertising strategy. You should go with social media advertising. This is what we do. Sponsored content on lifestyle blogs, okay. Social media engagement, yes. Podcast sponsorships. Let's now go with social media advertising only because the ad things we will now do are exactly for that, for these online ads. Okay, so now that we have a target audience, let's also talk about wishes and problems of this person, because only if we know the different problems we have to solve with our product, we can actually do that. Okay, let's now use ChatGPT for the headline of our ad. Therefore, we need 3 different prompts. The first one, now that we have the powerful words, is give me 5 powerful headlines for each problem/wish. So I want a decent amount of headlines, 5 is okay, that are powerful, so with powerful words, for each of the problems and the wishes ChatGPT already gave us. This is also why I asked for problems and wishes. And here it says, please use the powerful words from above. Because we have here the powerful words, please simply use them. And then we get a list of different headlines. We see problem 1 is the healthier lifestyle, and we get elevate your lifestyle with nutrient rich, so this is the first powerful word, vital veggie chips. or balanced bliss in every bite, vital veggie chips for a better you. Here for balanced diet, for example, dive into nutritional balance, vital veggie chips as your dietary ally. For your variety, balance, and wholesome goodness with vital veggie chips. These are actually decent. And if this is not enough, you can also include something you for sure want to communicate. For example, you have a 20% discount for your product, let's say that, and you want to communicate that, then simply write, the offer should be 20% discount for our vital veg chips. Now I get all the headlines again, but with this discount included. Upgrade your healthy lifestyle, 20% off, nutrition-rich vital veggie chips. So a bit different, okay? And then, in the end, I also want to have some emojis. So use emojis, use an emoji, one is enough, in every headline, like this. Okay, and now we see this looks actually pretty nice, because we see different emojis that we don't have to search for ourselves, like this plate, but also this apple, the time, save time and money, enjoy 24% off, grab and go vital veggie chips. So this is like time saving. Here we have healthy lifestyle with this green plant, also that very good. So actually very nice headlines. And what you should now do is really take the best 5 out of this. Or you ask ChatGPT to do this, but actually here I would decide on my own because I know my target audience and I know what we already tried. So maybe choose here on your own. If you want to do this step also with ChatGPT, then we have to ask, give me the best 5 headlines from all of the above. Only the best 5. And then you see I get the top 5. Now I have to decide if I want to have 20% off in all of them, because sometimes I maybe also want to only communicate the powerful word. So now the next step is to combine, for example, elevate your lifestyle with nutrient-rich vital veggie chips. Like this. Maybe I want it like this. Something like this. So it's nearly that, but not completely. Maybe with instead this emoji. So you can and maybe even have to rewrite them by yourself if you're not happy with 5 of these. But I would now choose 5 that are completely different to then see when you run the ads which powerful word or which category, maybe this craving satisfaction or the balanced diet, works best. And when I see that maybe healthier lifestyle, so this headline, gets the best results, then I would simply take 5 headlines from there and delete the 4 from other categories. Okay? So it's not something you have to decide and then can never change. It's kind of a work in progress for the next 2 months, because the duration for our ad is 2 months. So anyway, we test new texts, new headlines, new primary text, but also of course new pictures and videos probably. Now it's time to really get the copy of our ads, because we already have a bunch of different headlines that we can use. But now we of course need the primary text or the description, so the actual informational part of our ad. Because you normally have a headline, which is of course important. You have video or image for social media. For Google Ads, you also have only text-based ads. So here it's even more important how the headline looks like. And you have the primary text, so the description actually. And here we will run this prompt: write me an ads copy for the following headlines. Which means in order to do that, you already need to decide on different headlines. I, for myself, always choose 5 because, for example, for Facebook or other social media ads platforms, you can add up to 5 different headlines and 5 different descriptions. So here it makes sense to already have 5 headlines and not 20, but also not only 2, because you can add 5. Why shouldn't you add 5? And then I have use copywriting methods for the text. Give me 5 texts for each headline. Let's keep this out for now and let's just run it here with ads copy for the following headlines. And now we see we get the title, and then below we have the description. Of course, we can make the description longer or shorter by typing in make the description longer or shorter. Elevate your wellness journey with 20% off. We have here healthier, tastier, grab your discount today. This is all good. Maybe we don't want to communicate the 20% in the description because we anyway have it in the title and we have it in the headline and we have it then in the call to action. So don't communicate the 20% discount in the copy text, only in the headline. Okay, then we get copy texts without this. Okay, now it also deleted it from the headline, which is not what I wanted, but in the end you can combine it anyway by yourself, like this. So this is then the headline for this description. Yeah, so ChatGPT sometimes does things I don't want because maybe I don't communicate always right. Discount in the copy, only in the headline. Yeah, okay, it doesn't matter. What's now important is actually that we also use copywriting methods. So use copywriting methods for the text. Give me 5 texts for each headline. So now I want also a bunch of different ads, copy, so descriptions for my headlines. And I want that copywriting is already used for these ads copies. What do we see? We see, for example, the title, okay, elevate your well-being and your savings with the product, taste the balanced bliss in every bite and make a smart choice for your health. So bunch of keywords: health, smart choice, balanced bliss, the product name, and so on. So actually very good descriptions. What do we have here? Every bite of the product is an invitation to experience true vitality. Discover the joy of snacking to nourishes your body and soul. Actually pretty good. So these are not too long, not too short. Of course, we can make them longer if we wanted, maybe for a LinkedIn ad or I don't know, a Google ad where we need longer text. But for anything else, this is long enough because nobody reads a whole article in an ad. So it's just to communicate a bit more. And now we have our titles, these here, and we can combine title with the description of our choice. Maybe for this title, I think this is really good. And for the next title, maybe this description or this description, doesn't matter. So you have to decide on that. And then the only thing that's missing is the so-called call to action. So to really, again, remind the person that he or she needs to click to get maybe the 20% discount, and of course to buy, in this case, the product. Okay, let's now say you already chose 5 different headlines and 5 different descriptions. And what we now want to do is to also get a so-called call to action. So another sentence in the end of your copy that tells your customer or your potential customer why this person should click and what this person then get. Because some people just have the call to action, click me or buy me, but in the end it doesn't say what there is behind this link. So what product, which price, maybe also if there are shipping costs, discounts, whatever. So I have here this. I chose a headline and a primary text. Of course, normally I would do 5 each, but just to make it easy, for now, we do 1 headline, 1 description. And I have as a prompt, give me 5 call to action ideas for my ads copy with the following information. And then I simply run this. Grab your bag today. This would be the call to action. Then here's a short explanation of why this makes a good call to action. Taste the upgrade, click to dive in, start snacking smart, experience wellness now. So these are actually good. Maybe we want to include the 20% offer and an emoji also here. Then this shouldn't be too hard. Maybe also make a full sentence out of it, but now it's actually fine. Grab your bag today and save 20%. So this would be a really nice call to action. Start snacking smart with 20% off. Also very good. Taste the upgrade with 20% off. Let's for now just take this here. And then we have the call to action. Okay. So now we actually, so call to action is part of the primary text. We have a pretty decent copy text. Upgrade your healthy lifestyle, 20% off, nutrient-rich Vital Veggie chips. Elevate your daily habits with the chips. Immerse yourself in the world of flavor and nutrition. Your journey to healthier lifestyle begins here. And then grab your bag today and save 20%. Like this, maybe it makes sense. Or we use another emoji as well that we had here. Maybe this here. Like this, I like it. So this would be a good ads copy. Of course, we can use multiple headlines and primary texts, as I told you. But if we only want to use one, this here is pretty decent. And it takes you, I don't know, 5 minutes to create this. Of course, we talked about it a bit longer in the videos because I wanted to explain it to you. But if you already know how to work with it now, it takes you, as I said, approximately 5 minutes to get results like this. But not only one, but rather a bunch of headlines, call to actions, and primary texts. And this is the power of ChatGPT. Not to make the perfect ad maybe right from the beginning, but to give you a variety of different ideas you can use, or kind of use only parts of these ideas for your own copies. Let's now, in the last video, take a look at the translation of your copy text. Okay, now that we know our target audience based on this persona, we want to go one step further and talk about problems and wishes. So we want to ask ChatGPT, what the problems of our target audience are that our product can solve, so that we can really put the focus on that. Because we can then use these words or these things not only for the advertising texts like the headline and the primary text, but of course also for the pictures and videos we might use that we still have to create. We won't do that together, so picture and video and visual creation, all in all, is not part of the section. So that's part of content creation. But if we have the words, we know what we have to put on these pictures. And nowadays, these ads platforms are that good that you can really be here more creative and don't have to be that selective, because you can upload, let's say, 5 titles, 5 descriptions and 10 different pictures, and Facebook or other platforms mix that however they like based on performance. So we don't have to then really say this is the headline to go, but we can decide on 5 different maybe and choose all of them, which is of course helpful. In this video we need 4 different prompts. The first one is, what are typical problems our product can solve for our target audience? In brackets persona, so that ChatGPT get it right, but in the end ChatGPT should know that persona is target audience. So here we ask for typical problems. Of course, healthy snacking. It should be a healthy snack. So this could be something we really communicate in that way. Maybe also balanced diet, cravings, social sharing, weight management, but also variety and flavor. So these things are problems, or people have problems with maybe the basic potato chips. There's no variety, there is a lot of craving around it, but also kind of you can't balance your diet with these potato chips. So you go with the Vital Veggie chips. But of course, you as a marketeer need to communicate that. What you can also do is tell ChatGPT, give me all of that points as a question with an answer, so that you really have the problem and the solution here. So for example, how can individuals like Emily, which is our persona, our person from this target audience, enjoy snacking without compromising their commitment to health? So they like to snack, but still want to stay healthy. And the solution is, Vital Veggie chips offer a nutritious and satisfying alternative to traditional snacks like potato chips. So this is again a bit more detailed, because here you really see, okay, what could be the problem and how can we communicate Vital Veggie's solution. Then also for the wishes, what are typical wishes our product can solve for our target audience, or can deliver, whatever. So here you probably get nearly the same result, but maybe some new keywords or some new ideas or some other style of writing that we didn't consider yet. But in the end we see, okay, basically the same things, but in a different style of writing. Now, the most important part. Which powerful words fit our products or our product? Use also the problems and the wishes the target audience has. So now it's the actual most important part, because we want some powerful words that we can then use for the ads. So powerful words that make them click or that they want to read. Guilty-free pleasure. This is, for example, a very nice keyword. Smart snacking. Healthy habits. pure and trustworthy. And these keywords I then want to use in my, for example, headline, but also in the description maybe. Probably not on the picture, but if we have a video, we should maybe also talk about or say these words in the video or in a podcast ad, for example. This would also be good because these are some keywords people want to hear. This is what the target audience in the end want to hear. Okay, and now we not only have problems and wishes, but also some very strong keywords that we can now use for our ad.